What's up, y'all? Holy cannolis. I just feel like, we're in this already. Sometimes, I don't know, I do not know why, but I feel like I need to, drop down into frame. So there we go. Yeah, today is the 1st of December, 2025. My name is Evan Strong, 2025. The shirt says 25. I don't know why exactly. I don't know what this shirt's all about necessarily. It says Summer Swim 25. On the back it says Pace in Utah. We live up Utah, as In The Image Clothing Company. My name is Evan Strong, the founder of In The Image Clothing Company. This is episode 184 of In The Image Clothing Company podcast. This is where we have discussions on the gospel of Jesus Christ, aka the truth of all things. I'm going to address it because if you can't tell, then okay. If you can tell, then there you go. I kind of feel like I'm out of place, and not in a bad way. I don't know why. I don't know if it's because I'm literally out of my normal place where I normally film these, in my bedroom. Yikes. Anyway, we're just going to go as we're going to go because this episode title is Puppy Love. Puppy love. I'm praying through this and it's time to do it, and so we'll just continue on as we do. But here's the big thing. We have discussions on the gospel of Jesus Christ here under In the Image Clothing Company podcast, aka the truth of all things. You don't have to be religious, you don't have to believe in anything, because if we put all the beliefs aside, then what could remain? Things are still there even if you don't believe in anything. And so the truth, right? God, the same yesterday, today, and forever. Jesus the Christ. That's who we're designed in the image of. In the Image Clothing Company. Anything that clothes the human body, even glasses, jewelry, whatever it is clothing the human body. So on our main side of In the Image Clothing Company, we allow the body to work. We do it through clothing, but again, that means anything that's placed on the human body ever. That's what the word clothing means, is you can clothe something. It doesn't even have to be the human body. Clothing. God clothes the fields with greenery. Stuff just grows out of the earth. That is God clothing the bare ground. Okay. That's what I mean. It's the truth of all things, the gospel of Jesus Christ. And I'm not religious. I'm a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. And I love it. It's a place to be. We talk about it often. We read from the Book of Mormon. Shout out to the little poodle bobblehead sitting on top of my quad scriptures. Check out my internal rotation of my arm as well, right? Allowing the body to work. Anyway, that's the point. We allow the body to work. Clothing has to stay centered. Fit correct, where we discuss clothing sits. It's not about us or an opinion by any means. There's only one way the human body could ever work, though. Just being a mechanical machine placed onto a rock in space, designed by God. There's a neutral. There's a center line. There's a center line of the body. The sternum, the spine, the trachea, the nose, and our jaw. The jaw naturally stabilizing the entire body. There's a center line to it. Okay. There's also a center line to the motion. We can call it a center line. We can call it a neutral, with the goal being natural and that being a synonym with normal. Okay. Neutral, natural, and normal are synonyms within the human body's functioning. There's a neutral or a centered line to all the joints, because there's opposing muscles. There's two sides to things. There's opposition in all things. The gospel of Jesus Christ, we discuss this often. God's church. Yikes. I went to a Christmas party tonight at the church. It was great. It was great. It really was. It was awesome. I went to a ward that was not my ward. That's the thing. We talk about wards within the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. The area that, we're in, the people around us, we call that a ward. People who congregate together that live in the same area. Yeah. It was awesome. Cool. Christmas party. Anyway, this is the big point with the neutrals, is you can't possibly train to a neutral. You can't train to a center of gravity, right? Neutrals between doing one thing or the other on either side. Same with the rotations. In the forearms, there's a neutral to internal versus external rotation. In the entire arms, there's a neutral to internal versus external rotation. Straightforward from that pinky out the outside of the forearm, and straightforward from the thumb if the arms are down at our sides or bent at the forearms. The thumb points straight up. Thumbs up. Truly. There's no opinion to this, but in the lower legs, there's internal and external rotation from a neutral. In the entire leg, there's internal rotation and external rotation from a neutral. Context, the candy bars that are chocolate with nuts in them and caramel, whatever else they put inside of them. I just ate a whole bunch of candy bars right before this. I'm the founder of In the Image Clothing Company. We don't only talk about clothing, but we talk about doing everything naturally. Standing, sitting, walking, eating, breathing, sleeping, hydration, everything, right? The goal is natural, as I said, and I'm eating these unnatural candy bars. I mean, to a degree, a lot of the things in there are natural. The peanuts, the chocolate's natural, unless it's got things added to it. Caramel, that's, pretty unnatural in a lot of ways. But anyway, I do what I do, and sometimes I just don't give a lot of context on certain things that I brush by, because eating naturally, yeah, I mean, really, we can't eat anything unnatural, otherwise the body can't actually extract any nutrients from it. There's nothing in it to extract that can help the body, but the body has to process these unnatural things through it. There was no such thing as unnatural. Everything's always only natural till there's human beings that make artificial, synthetic, fake things, right? And there's certainly some of that going on in those candy bars I just ate. But times and places, we're not perfect, and we just live in a man-made world placed onto God's natural earth. But a big thing is, what I'm saying about not always giving all the context is, when we talk about eating naturally, a lot of it, in addition to doing all that we can to just eat things that are only natural, that's all that really exists, is nature, except for our conjured up things that just, they're unnatural as human beings, right? But eating naturally, we talk about the natural bite size, a video under the main side of In the Image Clothing Company, okay? And a lot of things with eating where, the importance of the corners of the mouth. I've been thinking about doing a video for a few weeks now titled The Importance of Small Utensils. It's not a video as of today's date yet, but under the main side of In the Image Clothing Company, because we do have one titled, like I said, The Importance of the Corners of the Mouth. And actually, right before I filmed this episode, I didn't shave my beard, but I did trim my mustache and then right below my lower lip, because the corners of the mouth need to seal. And when we have too large of utensils and we're scraping things against the side of our mouths, so the corners here, or just, a lot of unnatural, like plastic, for example, which is just oil, the same thing as polyester and acrylic. These things are just, synthetic, meaning fake, okay? And we have, plastic utensils, plastic cups, and things we put against and into our mouths. Even other things that are more natural can still be sharp and scratch the corners of the mouth. But the thing with the idea of this video that I will probably at some point, probably film for the main side of In the Image Clothing Company, right? The importance of small utensils is we need the corners of the mouth to be unaltered. When we talk about the jaw so much and how it stabilizes the entire body, we've got a lot of videos under the main side of In the Image Clothing Company putting importance on the jaw, the importance of even jaw musculature, okay? I want to just reference the importance of the corners of the mouth. We talk about the importance of even ears, how the ears are essentially the jaw, okay? A lot of things alter the ears in modern day that just couldn't have possibly in the past. Technology we didn't even have, right? I keep making sound effects, and I do that, I do that. I do that where I do that, and I do that sometimes. So anyway, yeah. A lot of what eating naturally really means is the natural bite size. Well, this is the big thing with the size of the bite, is there's also a video under the main side of In the Image Clothing Company titled, and this has to come with context, but it is true if you can see what's happening mechanically. Again, the body's a mechanical machine. It's about the skeletal system. It's about a positioning. All the musculature does is move the skeletal system, okay? The human body only pulls. A video under the main side of In the Image Clothing Company, okay? There's opposing muscles, and so even though a function can go two different directions, it's always just muscles pulling two endpoints directly in line together, okay? Well, it could be three endpoints, like the upper trapezius, it connects to the spine of the neck, the base of the skull, and the top of the shoulder, and, like the top of that scapula bone back there. But Muscles only pull, the body only contracts. The human body comes closest to its center line. Okay. I don't work out. Because you can't. I mean, not really. There's just a neutral. There's just only one way the human body could ever work. There's just the human body's only normal. Okay. Once you stop working out, your body goes back to its normal. Always. Once you stop running and with your elevated heart rate, your body just goes back to its only resting heart rate. Your only resting respiratory rate, which means breathing. Your only resting body temperature. There's only a normal to the body, by the way. It's impossible to train. I don't have an opinion or any new information, but this is God's design, as we say. We're going to get into this. This episode is titled Puppy Love. I think I said that, but if not, now I have. Episode 184 of In the Image Clothing Company podcast here. And yes, this is about the gospel of Jesus Christ, and we'll get into it because puppy love. But what I'm going to say is going to, explain that more. Right now, though, the natural bite size, what I was saying has to come with context, is looking down opposes bad posture. Okay. There's no such thing as posture, just the only way the human body is designed by God to stand vertically on the earth because it has opposing bends. The ankles go backward, the knees go forward, the hips go backward, the lower back goes forward, the mid back goes backward, the upper back, which is really the spine of the neck, which is cervical, goes forward. Okay, the cervical spine. The body snakes front to back because there's opposing muscles that keep it vertical, pulling from one side, then the other, then the other, then the other, then the other. It's traveling up like, snaking back and forth with the musculature's activation that only pulls because that's all musculature can do is contract. The only opposite end of that, or other end, is just relaxing. Okay, so don't stretch your body. Stretching clothing's new, only decades ago from today's date. Damaging the human being. Okay. Anyway. The musculature connects to the center line of the body. It needs to pull evenly inward. Tops are like a cage for the shoulders, as we discuss under In the Image Clothing Company. Here's a lot of good context. Now, what I'm saying, though, with looking down, opposing bad posture, is the rear of our lower jawbone needs to barely clear these sternocleidomastoid muscles that come from right behind our ears. Okay, the importance of even sternocleidomastoid insertions, a video under the main side of In the Image Clothing Company. They connect there at the skull behind our ears, and they come down, little thin muscles, one on each side of our head, barely clearing the rear of that lower jawbone, and then connecting to the clavicle, which is the collarbone, and the sternum, which is that bone in the center of the front of the rib cage where the ribs come into. Okay, that's why it's called a sternocleidomastoid. Well, where I pointed my fingers didn't quite correlate. For those of you in visual plus audio of In the Image Clothing Company podcast, but yeah, sternocleidomastoid, sternum, clavicle, mastoid. Get the head, the skull of the human being. Anyway, we need the rear of our lower jawbone to just barely clear that muscle, and that's how we actually get our spine vertical, by pivoting where our neck spine, the cervical spine, which is the neck, right, comes up and meets the base of the rear of the skull, which is where those upper trapezius muscles connect into, okay, that raise and lower the shoulders. Okay. Yeah, we get into the anatomy of the human body in depth under the main side of In the Image Clothing Company, and just where we do under all four sides of In the Image Clothing Company. I'm doing it here on In the Image Clothing Company podcast, and I have before. We just do it, okay, where it makes sense to and happens. Okay, sometimes it just happens. Anyway, when we pivot our head to look down, like physically tilting our head down, not our eyes looking down, but when we tilt our head down, that actually puts our spine vertical, because we're pivoting at the very top of the spine and the base of the skull. The rear of the lower jawbone has to come back and be able to clear those sternocleidomastoid muscles. Our ears have to be unaltered. And if we open our jaw excessively wide and take too big of bites while we eat, the only way that can happen, really, with that lower jawbone clearing the sternocleidomastoid from a position of actually standing properly, neutral, vertical on Earth's gravity, okay, the way that the human body works, the only way it will ever work, designed by God, and it would just work if it wasn't altered by something placed onto it, clothing, or just the modern man-made and right-handed, might I add, world, right? With 85% of human beings, give or take, being right-handed. We live in a right-handed world, so we get into a right-handed patterning, and it's universal. Clothing patterns themselves are right-handed to the degree that they are. This is a lot of good context. Date marked. Today's the 1st of December, 2025. Like I said, my name is Evan Strong, the founder of In the Image Clothing Company. I'm in this for life. Okay. So a lot of times it's just documentation of we've been saying things since as long as we've been saying them, and here you go. It's proof. All right. It's under the gift of video. The gift of video. We always do so much forever. We always will, to the degree and in the ways that we do and when and where under the gift of video. Under all four sides of In the Image Clothing Company, okay? But yeah, we have to take small enough bites to where we can keep our spine neutral and our head neutral and our jaw stabilizing the entire body. Because if you open your jaw too wide for itself, for its natural width of opening, your head has to just look up with the whole head, not just your eyes, but your head has to tilt there at the base of the skull and the top of the cervical spine, which is the neck, okay? You have to tilt your head upward to clear the lower jawbone and the sternocleidomastoid muscle, okay? Because they just will meet each other right there. And we can have a nice tucked jaw, vertical spine, and there you go. That travels down to your feet arches, which the feet arches oppose the center line, gripping inward, keeping us vertical. And a lot of it's about Earth's gravity, okay? Keeping our bodies over Earth's gravity. A video under the main side of In the Image Clothing Company. A lot of what we do is just deal with gravity as human beings, okay? As we say, that's a big point, okay? Gravity. Catch the gravity of what I'm saying with that, because a lot of it's just gravity. Your workouts are kind of pointless if you're doing them out of your center of gravity. Take away the word kind of, they're pointless, okay? Don't believe me, I don't have a claim on things like this. This is just the truth. These are not my opinions or my decisions either. It's God's design, the human being and the earth and his gravitational pull, and the dogs as well. Same thing for the dogs, right? In the Image Clothing Company Poodles, another one of our fourths. We specialize in purebred standard poodles, and, you know, puppy love, there's a lot more to it than just actual dogs in this episode of In the Image Clothing Company Podcast, number 184. But I will talk about puppies as well in this puppy love, okay? And we'll get into it. This is a lot of just context before we're actually in the discussion on puppy love, the title. But, yeah, we have, you know, purebred standard poodles being what we specialize in. And we breed them, we show how to do it properly, registering dogs, being good owners of dogs, advocating for good things. I keep making that sound, and it's not a bad thing. It's just, I listen back to these videos, right, and In the Image Clothing Company podcast episodes before I make them public, and sometimes my sound effects sound like cool, you know, like when I do that click, it sounds like a click, like, yikes, man, I don't know, I'm just having a good time with this, all right, I'm in this for life. It applies to everybody, you know, the universal human design. Even if you've got an amputation, deformity, birth defect, major surgery, or anything like this that has altered your body, there's still a universal baseline human being we have to get as close as we can to in all of our situations. And that's the same with the dogs and just their anatomy. Okay. So letting dogs stay natural is the same thing as allowing the body to work on the main side of In the Image Clothing Company. But we just phrase it different. And so we do, you know, things like we do for human beings with clothing, free modifications. Keeping collars centered, like In the Image Clothing Company's dreaded collar seam modification. Things for dog collars as well, that we have to keep our dog collars centered. Leashes and harnesses, not altering the dogs. These will be good products, okay? Human being clothing, dog products, InTheImageClothingCompany.com. Okay, we just know what we're doing, anatomy-wise, 100% natural materials in all the ways we can, okay? That was what I didn't quite finish saying earlier. Staying centered, fitting correct, and in all the ways that we can, just because we live in a modern world, you know. It's harder to do so than it used to be. Have things be made from 100% natural materials. There's only natural, really. We have a lot of unnatural things nowadays, though, made by mankind. So, anyway, that's a lot of what we do with dogs, poodles specifically, but we give information that applies to all dogs on letting dogs stay natural, except for anything that is very poodle-specific. In-person events, a lot of them that we have differ in ways, but so one of the events that we do as In the Image Clothing Company are called Poodle Parade events. Come to the state of Utah here if you'd like to. We're based in St. George, Utah, the very most southern end of Utah. We get people into nature, dogs into nature, have a good time. Okay. Yeah. people get really rooted and grounded with dogs and nature. So meshing those two things together, it's going to be a really good time, right? We just have a lot of good times. I mean, that's almost like all of that I can really say about it, because that's the point, is just to have a good time. It's not really necessarily for information. It's not like a sales event, right? And we've got subcategories where we do, but it's just for fun. Hikes, nature, and nature. For a third time I said it, right? So there you go. That's a lot of what we do on In the Image Clothing Company Poodles. But yeah, when it comes to eating naturally, and we're going to get to puppy love. I'm going to discuss it. I mean, well, this will be as long as it'll be. Just for those of you who are maybe wondering, like, is this, I thought you said this was about puppy love. It is. And I'll also explain, today I was at the dog shelter. I was at the South Utah Valley Animal Shelter. I hung out with probably 7 dogs, okay? They allow you to just take the dogs out, walk them around the building, you know, let them hang out in the dog run. It helps them, the people who work at the shelters, okay? You can let the dogs go to the bathroom, and then you can clean it up for them, you know? And I hung out with 7, give or take, probably right around 7 different dogs, though. A husky, a Malamute, man, good dogs. You know, those are both really good dog breeds. Big time. I hung out with a Mastiff, and that was my first time ever being, like, personally with a Mastiff. It's a pretty big boy. It wasn't as big as I was expecting when I, you know, hear the name Mastiff. I don't know. I've looked up Tibetan Mastiffs before, which I think was probably a different kind of Mastiff than this guy. He was a really short-haired, well, short-furred dog. But he was cool. He was sizable, man. He was a big dog, but we specialize in standard poodles, which are big dogs as well, you know, because that's the big thing. The height of the owner versus the height of the dog, so that we don't alter our bodies. Holding leashes naturally to keep that neutral wrist so that we don't alter our bodies as the owner of dogs, right? We really discuss a lot of things like this under In the Image Clothing Company Poodles. But I also hung out with a poodle mix, a doodle, if you will, okay? Probably a golden doodle, who was standard size. The same one that, I mentioned this a few days ago. Goop is his name. Yeah. I talked about that in an episode of In the Image Clothing Company podcast a few days ago, because I saw the same dog over at the shelter. But then there was this little dog. He's a mini size poodle mix. He was white. He might have been a Maltipoo. And I say that because he had really soft hair. And some of his hair was pretty darn straight. Poodle hair is very curly, usually. Okay. It just is, yeah. I mean, you can make it straight, but they do that for shows. You know, dog shows, they'll really like a Brazilian blowout. Seriously, you know, they'll make their hair really straight for the shows. You know, they'll cut their hair like the pom-pom on the tail or whatever it is, whatever cut they have, the continental clip and any kind of poodle hairdo they do. You know, a lot of times they can really make the hair straight for the shows, but I think this little mini dog was a Maltipoo. Just kind of like, I kind of like felt Maltese in him physically with the hair, but then also like, you know, temperament-wise, emotionally, you know, spiritually, seriously, I could kind of like feel Maltese in him. He was a sweet dog. Anyway, I hung out with a lot of dogs, more than that, today at the shelter. A couple different huskies, you know, at least one more in addition to that one that I mentioned. Man, and she was pretty. Darn, man. At least 3 huskies, because there was this other female husky, and I was like, are you really a husky mix? It says she's a husky mix, but she had short hair as well, kind of like how I said with the Mastiff. He had short fur. Well, yeah, it's fur for the huskies as well, not hair, but man, just some good dogs. It's just so cool to be able to do that. And then afterward, I went over, you know, just to these farm fields, and I filmed a video titled The Importance of Tops, which is kind of generic. You know, we've got a lot of importance of videos under the main side of In the Image Clothing Company, but I just discussed the importance of tops in general because there's so many videos that I was able to reference in it about tops, you know, in all the ways that we discuss it. But yeah, it was a cool day. It was really fun. It was really awesome. There was this wire, I don't know what they call those dogs, short-haired wire, like a wired pointer, I think, maybe. I don't know. He's a puppy. He was like a year old. He was Man, anyway, I could just give a whole podcast episode just on my experience at the shelter today with the dogs. And that'd be great to do, just because it's cool. This is the thing, advocating for keeping less dogs in shelters and more dogs at homes. And we teach how to, and it starts really before birth, with the breeding process and doing it properly and health testing dogs and registering dogs. We really discuss this under In the Image Clothing Company Poodles, and just when we're talking about what we do under In the Image Clothing Company Poodles. But anyway, a lot of what I'm saying here is just to kind of give context. A lot of beautiful dogs in shelters that don't deserve to be there. Yeah. I mean, the majority of dogs in shelters are not there because of their own reasons. Not there because they have like behavioral problems and temperament reasons, or they're aggressive, or they're really sick. Usually it's just, simple fixes, if you will. Just a little bit of information that owners need that they don't really have and don't know how to take care of their dogs. And so they kind of just end up in shelters, or they don't really know how to, do things like microchipping their dogs, or do all they can to register their dogs in some way to make, in all the ways they can, sure, if you will, that they can get their dog back home. So sometimes dogs just get lost. There's a lot that we just need to have a little bit more information about than we often do as owners of dogs. And that's a lot of what we do under In the Image Clothing Company Poodles as well. But I got this idea over there of puppy love, and a lot of it was that dog. I don't know what his breed was exactly. I think there is a breed titled like a short hair, titled, I guess maybe labeled, short hair wired. Something Wire. The name Wire was in his name because of whatever reason it was, but he had wiry hair. Poodles have really soft hair. Some dogs have fur. Some dogs have hair, right? Hair keeps growing like human beings, and you have to cut it, like a poodle, like a Maltese, there's a lot of dogs like that, really, actually. I think it's surprising to a lot of people to realize how many dogs actually have hair. You have to cut their hair. You don't cut dogs with fur. But there's a lot of dogs that do have hair. And anyway, this dog, whatever he was, the wiry-haired dog, I don't know if it's actual hair or it's fur that's just wiry, but he was cool. He was a puppy. He was like 1 year old, as I said. But he just kept biting and biting and biting, as puppies do. And he just kept jumping and jumping and jumping up on me. He was bigger than most people's dogs. He was just about standard poodle height. He was a pretty, fairly big dog, probably over 50 pounds, but certainly still a puppy. And I just got this idea, and I've thought about this because I've said before, the reason we have In the Image Clothing Company Poodles is not just so that we can have cute puppies. And sure, we'll have cute puppies when the litters are being born. Each time we have a litter, it's like, yeah, the puppies are awesome. Puppies are cute. But also when I advocate for, and, meaning just as the founder of In the Image Clothing Company, and, 1/4 of us being In the Image Clothing Company Poodles, when we advocate for being good owners of dogs, a lot of times people are so excited for puppies, and then once the puppy is an adult, they're like, nah, they don't really care about it as much. Puppies aren't the same as adult dogs. Just like kids aren't the same as adults. Just like in the very beginning stages of a relationship, like a romantic relationship, it's not the same as after, years go by. So this is what I really mean with puppy love. This is really what this episode is going to be about of In the Image Clothing Company Podcast, episode 184. Puppy love, and this idea of things don't really stay the same as they once were. Things do change in ways, God doesn't change. And the spirit of God doesn't change. And that's the thing. That's what we love about dogs. And I've said this before, where we can't get too caught up or worked up on people dying, pets dying, things changing. Because a lot of what we love in things is just the spirit of God being manifested and portrayed and working through things, or pets, or loved ones, or family, or whatever it is, right? The Spirit of God is eternal, the same yesterday, today, and forever, and He'll dwell within all the things that He's allowed to dwell within, meaning anything that's holy enough for God, He'll work through. Okay, and dogs are awesome. And so that's the thing is your puppy isn't the same as your adult dog in a lot of temperament ways, behavioral traits, but it's still the same dog. I mean, when you're in a relationship with somebody, that's the term that gets used, puppy love, when you've just like been dating somebody or courting somebody or going out with somebody, however you say it, whatever you want to say it like. Yeah. It's been a few weeks, a few months, whatever, just a fairly short amount of time, and they call it puppy love, because it's the same thing as when people purchase puppies and they love them so much because they're puppies. They've got that puppy breath, which I don't even know how that works necessarily, why it smells the way it does and why it smells good to so many people. People love puppy breath. And then once the dog gets older, its breath doesn't smell the same. People love puppies and how they're just all like flopping all over the place and they're so playful and like, uncoordinated because they're still just learning how to move across the earth, just like babies, right? People love it. And then the dog gets older and it's not quite the same. In relationships, people love the excitement of this new relationship, and they don't often really see the person for the person, but they see it as this new thing. People don't often see the dog as the dog. They see it as just this new puppy. And then as some time goes by, it's like all of a sudden this person doesn't think the same about this thing. Whatever it is in life. It could be a thing in life. It could be a new thing you've gotten. A new situation you're in, a new house you moved to, a new location on the earth, a new hobby, whatever it is. And we'll talk about it in whatever we do here, in whatever way we do, to probably quite the degree. I feel like this is going to be a pretty packed episode, as well as some of the past couple have really been of In the Image Clothing Company podcast, because that's the thing is like I said, we don't get puppies just because they're cute, if we're doing it properly, because that's what ends up becoming a dog in a shelter, is once it's not this cute looking and puppy behaving animal anymore, but it's an adult, it does change. And a lot of people don't like the dog anymore. They're just like loving on the puppy because it's a puppy. It's got all this excess skin around it because, it's got to grow into it. And its coat is a little bit different, I mean, like poodles, they have a puppy coat and it's just so fluffy. It's a little bit different hair than the adult dogs, and just all dogs in general, in most all ways, they are a lot different as a puppy as they will be as a full-grown dog. But it's the same dog. Your relationship you're in with somebody is a lot different the first few weeks, the first few months, as it is when you're like 30 years down the road and you've got 4 children and, you've been in a marriage. Okay. But it's the same person. It's the same situation. It just might seem a lot different. And so that's the thing, is we have to be able to look past this puppy love in life. That's really something that takes a lot of wisdom and maturity and experience. And that's the thing, is that's where those things come from, is experience. And experience can just be seeing things. You don't have to actually personally fully go through something to experience it. You can experience something by watching. It's like me going over to the shelter and seeing all these dogs. I'm doing a lot of experience of what it's like to have these dogs without actually having these dogs, because I'm just walking past all these kennels of dogs and I'm seeing how they're all reacting differently according to the breed. It's like breeds of dogs act just about the same throughout the breed. Dogs have their own individual personalities, but that's not all that different within a breed. Sometimes it's pretty different. Definitely. Certainly. Right? Yeah, certainly. But, a lot of dogs, you can predict what they're going to be behaving like because dogs are bred to do a certain thing. Huskies are bred to run. Okay? I was trying to think about another dog to talk about, but I think, I put focus on Huskies earlier too when I said that girl was so pretty. Her name was Melon. I think that's probably just the name they gave her at the shelter since she got in there, but she was a Husky. And Huskies are so pretty. Huskies have soft coats a lot of the time. And so within each breed of dog, they're bred to do something. Huskies are bred to pull things across snow, right? Sled dogs, that's what they are. Like up in Alaska or wherever it is where they use huskies as sled dogs. Same with Malamutes. That's what they're bred for as well. Okay, that's where they came from. That's why they are what they are. That's why they like to run so much. You can't get after a husky for running. Really. Even healers. Red healers, blue healers, shepherds, sheep herds, right? Sheep herding dogs, shepherds, right? It's literal wording. That's why they're called that. Australian shepherds. There's a lot of shepherds actually, though. Even German shepherds, these are working dogs that are bred to run. And so you can't get after the dog for running. Anyway, that's just a good context, I guess, on that. Yeah, but that's the thing is, as a puppy, puppies are just kind of puppies. They're just kind of clumsy a lot of the time, and they're sticking everything in their mouth, and they're softer, like physically softer. Their coat is often slightly softer than their adult coat, but also they're like they've got this level of like fat to them, like I'm saying, this like thick skin on them, and it's a puppy, and you might love the puppy. But are you going to love the dog when it's an adult? You might love this new relationship you're in, but are you going to love this person 60 years later when you people are like 75, 80, however old you are? I guess that would mean you were dating at like 15 years old. Anyway, maybe you're like 80 years old, 90 years old. If you live that long, you going to still love the same person? Or do you love this person because it's puppy love? The same way that people love puppies because they're puppies, and then the puppy ends up being just a dog in a kennel at a pound. An animal shelter. You see what I mean? That's the thing, is we've got to be able to do all that we can as human beings. And this is the theme, right? To play the long game. There's an episode title of In the Image Clothing Company podcast, and that's what it is. One of them, the long game. Just how I talk about how I'm in this for life. Episode 100 was titled "Laying a Foundation" of In the Image Clothing Company podcast. We really talk about eternal truths. That's actually an episode title of In the Image Clothing Company podcast as well. Eternal truths. That's the thing, is we've got to do all that we can to play the long game, if you will, but to just look at everything eternally, if you will, have an eternal perspective, if you will, right? Whatever you want to say. Just discussing God, really. The same yesterday, today, and forever, because it's the same dog, even when it's not a puppy anymore. But now it's like 9 years old and is kind of getting closer to the end of its life. A lot of dogs only live to around 10 years old. A lot of dogs only live to about 8 years old. Certain breeds where that's what you can expect is about 8 years old. Certain breeds where you can expect somewhere between 15 and 20 years old, right? But again, it's breed to breed, is where it differs. Certain breeds are different than other breeds. That's why they are breeds, and that's why we advocate for purebred dogs. Okay. That's why I say a mutt is a mutt. And then I also say bring your mixed poodles to Poodle Parade events, right? It's fine, but health complications often come with mixing dogs, right? We just need to do things as properly as we can because we're bringing life into the earth. Maybe onto the earth, unless they're like living underneath the surface. But in all seriousness, yeah, we're just selecting 2 dogs to create offspring. We need to do it properly, otherwise we're doing it improperly. Hey, yeah. Anyway, for the health reasons, okay? That's what we're here for, as in the Image Clothing Company. Poodles, when it comes to dogs, is the health of dogs, okay? But yeah, puppy love, it's a temporary thing. But then love is just love. A lot of people say they love something, and then a day goes by, and it's like they don't care about it anymore. And I do this where I do this. I've done this. I'll say it like that, because that's the case for sure. I've done this many times in my life. A lot of things that I loved so much, and I genuinely, was so interested in these things, and I actually loved doing it for like, as I've said, a relative 5 minutes. It's like, maybe 5 minutes, maybe a few months, maybe a year or two, and then I was just done with it. Kind of the same thing as puppy love, the puppy's so amazing because it's a puppy. Well, the puppies need to be amazing because they're dogs, right? Your new relationship needs to be amazing because the relationship between you and this other human being, not because it's new. You know, this is what it means to have an eternal perspective. This is what it means to have an eternal perspective. Think celestial. President Russell M. Nelson, the former, at this point, President of the United States of America. That's not the truth. The former president of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints is what he is, though. Prophet, too, right? The word president and prophet are synonymous within the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. He died about a month ago. Maybe a month and a half ago, give or take, from today's date. President Russell M. Nelson. And then now we have President Oaks. He has a first name and a middle initial as well. I don't know what it is as of right now. I know what it is, but I just can't remember as of right now. But yeah, President Oaks, prophet. Dallin H. Oaks. There you go. Because I call him a prophet, and then it gets spoken to me by God. That's not even a joke. That's funny. Yeah, they are synonymous, president and prophet, within the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, but really, he's the prophet. You know, we have modern-day prophets revealing things to us by God daily. God's ever-present. You know, God's here today, the same as he was always, right? Yesterday and forever. But Russell M. Nelson, he talked often about thinking celestial, which celestial and eternal are essentially synonyms as well. I think he had a specific talk in one of the general conferences, right? We have semi-annual, twice a year, general conferences where the leaders of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints deliver sermons. Okay? Wow. Yeah. President Russell M. Nelson, he talked about thinking celestial. And that's essentially what that is, you know, the opposite of puppy love. The opposite of just getting in a relationship and being excited about it because it's a new relationship is getting in a relationship and thinking about your grandkids, you know, your posterity. And is it going to be a good experience for you and this new person you're in a relationship with to have grandkids one day together, you and them? Okay. Do you see what I mean? Puppy love is just a temporary thing because that's what I was thinking, you know, in the car on the way back here from, when I say back here, I just mean in the car earlier after I was at the shelter, the animal shelter, South Utah Valley Animal Shelter here in Utah County. Okay. Yeah, what I was thinking about really was pretty much everybody, just about everyone, thinks puppies are cute. But there's a lot of people that do not like adult dogs, even if they love puppies, right? But there's a lot of people out there on the earth that don't want to get married and have this committed lifelong relationship, but they love these puppy love type flings, you know, just a few nights, a few weeks, a few months, maybe a year or a few years with somebody, and then, you know, the puppy phase wears off, and now they want to do that again with somebody else and have another exciting puppy phase. But that's the thing, that people do that with dogs. People buy puppies, and then once they get to be an adult, they'll give them to someone else, and that might just be a shelter somewhere. An animal shelter. That's crazy. That happens. And then they'll get another puppy and live up the puppy phase and then get rid of the dog and get another puppy. People do this. Kind of how people treat houses or cars. And this is what I mean when, you know, we have that episode of In the Image Clothing Company podcast titled The Only Thing That We Have. It's the human body. Everything else we can get or we can lose. You know, anything else could possibly and does, where it does, come and go. The human body can't leave us. It's our vessel that God gave us. That's why In the Image Clothing Company is so huge, right? Everybody has one. Everybody has a body. Everyone. And what we speak on here applies to everyone and their dogs. Literally, okay? Under In the Image Clothing Company and In the Image Clothing Company Poodles. Yeah, so anyway, that's the point, is the body is the only thing we have, and so we just talk about taking care of it forever, for the longevity of our lives, you know. And everything else we can get doesn't really fulfill us and couldn't, really God's the only thing that can. But this is the whole thing about the dogs and the puppy love, specifically with actual dogs right now, is, yeah, we should never be purchasing puppies or getting free puppies, however it comes to being. You should never take a dog under your ownership as a puppy if you're not willing to keep that dog for its entire life. And that's not just an approach or an opinion of mine, but this is a life form. It's like a human being. You're never going to just, set a human being up for success the best that you could by, adopting a child just to plan on kicking them out of your life when they're an adult, right? It's like, sure, I'll be a good Samaritan. It's just a phrase, which is funny because Samaritans used to be, enemies, essentially, of the Jews. And when we're talking about the gospel of Jesus Christ was a Jew, is essentially a Jew. We talk about the truth of all things being the good news of God, or the gospel of Jesus Christ, same thing worded two different ways. And the Samaritans were actually enemies to the Jews, which Jesus Christ was a Jew on the earth in his 33-year life. Interesting. You know what's cool is it's the 1st of December. Shout out to Christmas. I mean, this is the month that we celebrate, truly. I mean, we're really all month to a degree. I mean, the 25th of December is Christmas. But again, Christmas. People don't even understand what Christmas is anymore. Christ Mass. Jesus Christ. Jesus the Christ. Christ is the title of the man Jesus. Christ means God. Jesus Christ is our God. One God, an episode title of In the Image Clothing Company podcast. Anyway, it is what it is. It's the truth of all things. Don't believe me. What I'm saying here about the puppies and the actual dogs with the puppy love is we need to be able to do all that we can to adopt our children, to keep them as our children for life. People foster little kids and then end up adopting them. But you don't do that. I mean, if you're doing it out of true, real love and not puppy love, you're going to adopt a child to be their, parent for their whole lifetime. Same with the dogs. We don't just adopt a puppy or purchase a puppy, however it would come to being, just to have it for a certain amount of time. That's crazy. That's what I mean. We advocate for being good owners of dogs under In the Image Clothing Company Poodles. That's what we're really doing is, keeping dogs at homes for life. People call them their forever homes or their fur-ever homes. See what I mean? It's kind of a wordplay thing people do. Yeah, I'm one of those people. We have In the Image Clothing Company music as another one of our fours. A lot of what gets shown there is the sizing and setup of guitar to not alter things like the neutral wrist, okay? The rounding in our hands, we just talk about in everything we do in life. Fingernails and toenails all the way to the tips, fully supporting the fingers and toes. Cut relatively flat so we stay in this neutral position and don't roll out of the neutral wrist, okay? Yeah. Lyricism, rhythm and poetry, spoken word, off the top type stuff, singing, written things where there are, but geared around the gospel of Jesus Christ. That's In the Image Clothing Company music in a nutshell, okay? There you go. Why did I say that? Wordplay is what I was talking about, because people talk about forever homes. That's why we always have such a strict screening process on our poodle puppies, on who they go to, because we want them to go there for for a lively lifetime, for their whole life if we can. That's the thing. You adopt a child and you're their parent for life. You bring home a puppy and it's yours for life. It's not just about the puppy loves. Darn it. Why does that hit me so hard? I feel like there's more to say on that specifically right now. Under In the Image Clothing Company Poodles, we will always have a very strict screening process on who our dogs go to, and that's why. So if you've got a problem with that, just know there's more to it. I mean, I say that often, right? If you've got a problem with us, stick around. Deeper context brings deeper understandings. We have a lot of context. We do so much documentation. A lot of it's just verbal explanation of things like this, under the Image Clothing Company and all four sides of us. That's how we're structured here and always will be. We're very personable. As in the Image Clothing Company, we're not distant by any means, it's just we're just here. We're the same behind the camera as we are in person, ideally. The goal is natural. Authenticity is how you naturally are, just yourself, right? But that's the thing is puppy love. I mean, it's such a big thing. When I was at the shelter today, there was actually a puppy, German Shepherd. I think it was like 4 months old. It was so cute. And that's a problem. Do you see what I mean? That can be such a problem that puppies are cute. It can be such a problem that we think women are so cute as men, or that we think, as women, they think men are so like cute, if we're using that word on either end of this, for puppies, for, us as the owners thinking puppies are cute, men thinking women are cute, women thinking men are cute. If we think it's just so cute, whatever it is in life, that's a problem. It can be a great thing, but it can also be such a big problem. That's why it is a problem that puppies are so cute, because that's what I said, right? Most everybody, just about everyone, even if they're not even a dog person, so many people that aren't dog people would still say that puppies are cute, even if they don't really like dogs, you know what I mean? Of any age, they wouldn't want the puppy, but they might still say it's cute. That's a problem, because then people who love dogs, a lot of times they really only care about the dog because it's a puppy and it's cute. And dogs, I mean, without saying anything bad about it, a lot of times aren't as cute when they're adults as they're when they're puppies. Because a lot of what we think of as cute in a puppy is, like I was saying, the temperament. Puppies are just, they don't know very much about anything yet. They have to learn things. They're new to the life they have. And I mean, that clumsiness that puppies have is something that's often really cute, because it's like innocence. Well, innocence is cuteness, That's again, that's something that gets us in trouble as human beings. We go after, yikes, careful with that phrasing. Not me, but careful with how you hear what I say. But a lot of times go after. I'm going to say it now after I made it sound like it was almost a bad thing. I'm going to intentionally say it then, think it's a bad thing. Hear what I'm saying, not what you're hearing. We'll often go after, yikes, okay, people for a relationship. Hear that correct, but hear it as I said it, not how you heard it. That we think are naive because we think it's cute. A lot of times, naivety, it's kind of like ignorance in a way, which, ignorance means not knowing something. Naive means kind of just like not so much experience in something yet, That's how puppies are, that's how a lot of people are. That's how a lot of people are that are in bad relationships. It's very unhealthy. You get into this puppy love relationship because you've got two naive people. This isn't me like saying something mean. This is the truth about, we need to know enough to know enough. I've said that phrase a lot lately under In the Image Clothing Company content on multiple different sides here of In the Image Clothing Company, because yeah, we need to be able to know enough to be intentional. We just need to know enough to have the knowledge we need on whatever it is, because things are just what they are. See what I mean? With the truth of all things, that's what I'm saying. Like, there's a lot of people who are very naive, just meaning they haven't had that much experience in life and they don't know much about life yet. They don't know that much about relationship dynamics and how relationships work and how different people really are, even though we're all the same. Weird, but true, right? The paradoxical gospel of Jesus Christ. I mean, that's the thing is, puppies don't know much of anything about life yet. And that's what I was saying when I want to make that a good point. I mean, I don't care who I offend with what I say, but what I'm saying is what I'm saying. And I'm not being mean on my end. No matter if it sounds mean to you, that's fine. You can think it's mean. You can think anything's mean in life, whatever, it's your choice to get offended. And that sounds harsh, but it's the truth. For me too, that's hard to accept sometimes, but it's the case. The truth will set you free, and that's the truth, right? We choose to get offended over things, but a lot of times people are very naive, and that's not like calling a name to somebody or calling somebody something, but it's the truth. What I'm saying is you have to have experience to know something, and if people don't have enough experience in life to know what's going on in something like a relationship, people get into these very terrible relationships because hurt people. I actually wrote a rap song in about 2019, 2020, like 5 years ago, give or take, called, titled Hurt People, Hurt People. Oh my gosh. I mean, I could probably try to sit here and think about some lines from it. Back when I used to produce rap songs when I was around 20 years old. I mean, I still rap. I just don't, as of right now, do it quite the same as I did back then. That's the thing. Hurt people, hurt people. People who are naive in life, a lot of the times get really hurt. Because that's what I'm saying is you don't understand life if you don't understand life, right? If you don't understand that it really truly is, even if it's hard to hear, it's hard for me to hear as well in times. And it certainly was very hard in times of my life before now. To hear, that getting offended is our choice, and it truly just is. And if people are naive, meaning they just don't have much experience in life and they don't know very much, then often they're people who get very offended very easily. And these are people who get into relationships with other people who are very similar a lot of the time to that. And it's a very unhealthy relationship because they don't have enough experience to know that there's somebody out there that's going to be a better companion for them. But, you get two people that just kind of like ended up liking each other and it just kind of happened to be, and it was like, oh, this is exciting. Like you just, happen to drive down the road and there's people on the side of the road with puppies in a little gate type metal fence. And this is exciting. And you just buy the puppy without, preparing for it and without committing to being the owner of this dog for the rest of its life. You have this puppy love because it's cute in its current state. Just like your relationship is cute in the first few weeks or months in its current state. But it's different after time goes by. Even if the person doesn't change, the relationship does because it deepens. All of a sudden you have to make all your decisions together more so than you did right at first, And maybe now you have children together and you didn't at first, and now you have to share everything and you live together and you didn't at first, whatever it is. And it just, it's just that puppy love. We have to be able to see past it. That's why he said it. President Russell M. Nelson, the former, as of today's date, president of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, okay, prophet. Think celestial, think eternal, think forever, think not just today, but what about tomorrow's tomorrow and, thereafter. I mean, really, we have to, and that's the point. That's what I've said when I've talked about how I have structured in the Image Clothing Company, how God has had me lay this out. It's forever, and that's why it looks the way it does up until now. It won't always quite look like this. So that's exactly what I mean. Puppy love. It just things change over time, but you have to set a good foundation at the beginning. Yeah. I'm not saying that I have puppy love for In the Image Clothing Company. I'm using it as an example on the other end. I'm doing this very, very properly. Truly. And that's humbling because I just am. Yeah, I'm not claiming something. You can look back and see what I've done here. What God has done through me, truly. I mean, I haven't even known what's going on most of the time. I've just taken the action when I've been told to by God, praying through everything that I can, But that's the big point is a lot of people with their companies, they have puppy love, essentially, for a company or a business idea, right? Like a startup. And at first, they just, like fly into it. Like how people just out of nowhere decide to buy a puppy without thinking long term. Or people just see somebody cute and say, yeah, let's date. And then it doesn't last very long because they didn't think long term. People just have an idea for a company or a business and it doesn't last very long because they weren't thinking long term. It was all this puppy love. See what I'm saying? See how I said earlier, like, we'll get into it. Don't know, I was giving a lot of discussions on some things that were not quite this topic. And I was like, we'll get into it. This will be as long as it is, right? However I worded it, like, yeah, this is an episode of In the Image Clothing Company podcast, man. Sometimes they're all over the place. I'm just giving context where I give context. I'm just here for life. That's what I mean. It's not puppy love. I'm not here to try to have some hyped up first start of a company and then later down the road, like, lose the hype. I'm in this for life, and so I'm in a sense, hear this, like metaphorically, health testing my dogs before I breed them. I'm metaphorically finding out who I am before I get into a relationship, right? I'm metaphorically feeding my dog properly and introducing it to sights and sounds and smells and touching it and getting it used to touch and all these things as a puppy before it grows up to an adult dog. Same thing as, metaphorically in a relationship, asking a lot of really deep, hard questions at the beginning so that they don't have to try to come up later. You see what I mean? This is what I mean with the puppy love. I mean, this is how we just like lay a foundation, like I said, right? That's why episode 100, and intentionally, because that's a big number, that's like a milestone, if you will. Although miles are a lot longer than 100 steps. But I'm in this for life, and so 100 was just it was a good number episode to put that there, and I said that in the episode too. Like, this will be something I could just reference back to show I laid a foundation after 100 episodes. I mean, yeah, sure, call it bragging, but it's happened. You know what I mean? It's there. I'm just saying it as it is. But that's the thing, is your love for your dog. It's kind of like, after 100 episodes, I was still laying a foundation, right? It's not like I had like 5 or 6 episodes of In the Image Clothing Company podcast, and I had all this hype and this puppy love for this new idea of a podcast, and then it didn't even last past like 10 episodes. Even after 100, it was still just, we're still starting, and I'm still doing this forever. Okay. Like with the puppies or with a relationship or whatever it could be in life. Yeah, a company. That's what I am talking about within the Image Clothing Company podcast. See what I mean? Anything in life. That's the thing is, we can't just be hyped up at the very beginning because that hype will leave, man. The love for your dog really should probably, meaning just naturally, it probably will grow until the day your dog dies. The love for your wife, for those men out there, for your husband, for those women out there, will probably, I don't necessarily want to say that it should, but it usually does grow until the day that relationship's no longer there, Either you die or your wife dies, whoever dies first, I guess. People die. We got to accept that because, again, it's going to happen. And when your dog dies, I mean, those are the times when you probably have the most love for those things. Your spouse or your dog or your, any animal. It doesn't have to be just a dog. We just, have 1/4 of In the Image Clothing Company that's specifically about dogs. But like I say, our information applies to just about every pet or animal, even in general on the earth. Letting dogs stay natural, I mean, it's just keeping them out of the modern man-made world as much as we can, just like us human beings. We discuss eating, sleeping, standing, walking, sitting, breathing, hydration, sleeping, everything, though. I might have said sleeping twice, and that's a big one, A lot of people can't sleep very well. We discuss it, under In the Image Clothing Company. And maybe I should say something about it right now, There's an episode of In the Image Clothing Company podcast titled Sleeping Truths, and that was, clear back in some of the earlier episode numbers. The information is still valid. I'm just, haven't really said all that much besides that and a few other things up until today's date about sleeping, really. But I've said a lot in that episode, and just where I have. But yeah, I mean, just meaning that many times. I haven't, we haven't like spoken on it all that often yet. We just will, I'm in this for life. That's what I mean is the gift of video. These things just live on forever. That's a long time. That's what it means to think celestial. That's what it means to not have puppy love, but be prepared to have your dog forever. Be prepared to have your relationship forever. That's scary, huh? It can be very scary, I know. But that's the thing is, you're either going to love them or you're not going to love them. If you think you're only going to love them for a certain amount of time, you don't actually love them. That's just puppy love. It's not real love. Love is eternal. God has another one of his names being love. And God is the same forever, eternally, always, yesterday, today, and all the times that could come after, right? Oh, but sleeping, yeah, shoot, man, cool. Don't sleep with a pillow. We try to stand vertical in daily life, and then you go to sleep and push your head forward like 4 or 5 inches for like 8 hours a night, give or take. Maybe you're only sleeping like 4 hours a night. Hey, whatever. Try to get some good sleep, that's important. But you're only going to be able to if you can breathe, and there's only one, neutral position to your spine and your windpipe that you breathe through, and your lungs need to be able to expand and contract in 360 degrees in your rib cage that are bones that move, and they're connected to your spine that is the base of your skull that's placed on a pillow, sticking forward with your jaw stabilizing your entire body that's in your skull. No, you have to sleep with no pillow. I don't have an opinion. But if you're trying to stand vertical in daily life, and then you try to sleep, for those of you in audio only, you can probably tell it sounds different. I turn sideways to show my vertical spine. Try to sleep with a pillow behind your head, pushing your head multiple inches, or however far it is, and sometimes it's very far, forward. You're curving your spine. The same spine at the base of your skull is the same spine as the top of your pelvis. Can we hear that correct? So many myths, we debunk a lot of myths under In the Image Clothing Company. Go to any kind of sleep specialist you want, get on medication or breathing machines, and get all these expensive beds and pillows and blankets, and who cares? There's only one way the human body could ever work. All opinions aside, what's the truth? That's what I mean. I literally do not believe in anything. There is only truth to life. Period and done. That is it. Not my choice. And nobody could change it or decide it, brother. But here's the thing is, you try to sleep with a pillow and you're pushing your head forward. The base of your skull that's on the pillow is the same as your cervical spine, which is your neck, that travels down through your thoracic spine, which is your mid-back, where all your ribs are trying to expand and contract in 360 degrees every single breath, just meaning all the way around. And the ribs actually bend. Even though they're bones, they really do move. From there, we travel down to the lower back, the lumbar spine, and that just has to have its natural curvature as well. And the spine goes forward at the bottom, back at the middle, and then forward at the neck at the top. Again, Earth's gravity. We just got a snake. Back at the ankles, forward at the knees, back at the hips, forward to the lower back, backward to the middle back, and then forward at the upper spine until we get to the base of the skull that we place on a pillow. And, golly. You want to stand vertical in your daily life, sleep with no pillow. It's not like you could try this. It's you have to. Mechanically, physically, to keep your spine vertical. That's the only way it'll happen. When I say vertical, I mean neutral. You're horizontal when you're sleeping. But there's only one neutral way this can happen. Well, neutral, natural, normal, right? Synonyms, what we discuss under In the Image Clothing Company, within the human body's functioning. That's what I mean. There's only one neutral position to the spine, with this just slight curvature to keep activation in all the musculature that opposes each other's function, right? Opposing muscles, as we said earlier in this episode here of In the Image Clothing Company Podcast, episode 184, titled... I forgot what it was titled. Puppy love. Yikes. We were talking about the dogs. That's the thing. Sleeping. Same with the collars of the dogs. Take the collar off the dog and let it sleep without something on its neck. Right? And so just sleep, normal. But we don't know what that is. If we don't know what that is, we don't know what we don't know. You can't be held accountable for what you don't know. We discussed this. That's just what it is, though. That's the thing, is I didn't know until I was about 25. It's about last year I stopped sleeping with a pillow, and all of a sudden, man, I've got amazing posture. I've got internal and external rotation in my shoulders, and I never stretch. And it's not a claim. I just say it like that because it sounds crazy, but it's the truth. Yikes. Put all your opinions and beliefs aside. And I will too. If we want the truth, that's the only way you can. Get down to what life really is stop believing in things. If you don't believe in anything, things have to still be there, man. What's the truth? There's a lot of people that don't believe in anything out there. And they exist. It's like, wow. Oh gosh, the gospel of Jesus Christ, the truth of all things. Don't believe me. Oh, what? Didn't I just say that? Holy cow. It always comes full circle. One eternal round is what God describes his course as? What? It's actually literal? We read scriptures and they line up in real life? Yeah. Don't believe me. But it is. That's it. So don't sleep with the pillow. You know. There's more context that has to come, though, but we discuss it under In the Image Clothing Company's main side, right? The main side of In the Image Clothing Company, when we allow the human body to work and discuss the anatomy of the human body in depth. And all of a sudden, I just like fade off into nothing. I feel like I'm going to just fall asleep as I'm saying this. I don't even know why exactly. It's good. I think that's why. I feel just so relaxed and content with this. It's awesome. But there you go, right? That's a big point. Puppy love, that's where we were. I was talking about, you know, thinking celestial. I don't even know exactly how I got to sleeping, actually, because, I was just talking about all the things that we do discuss, just everything as a human being and a dog and doing them naturally. Yeah, maybe just to give context that we discuss these things. Maybe that's just really the reason I was saying those things. But, yeah, the dogs, you need to love your dog always. You need to love your wife always, dudes. You need to love your husband always, sisters. Sister. I feel like that title. I call dogs. That's the thing. I was with these dogs today at the shelter, at the animal shelter. And I called a female dog sisters. I'm like, come here, sis. It's so natural to me. I feel like some people don't really understand that. Well, within the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, we call the female missionaries sisters, and then the male missionaries brothers. But even that, we just call people sister or brother in life. We're sons or daughters, right? Depending on if you're a man or a woman of God, of Jesus Christ. I mean, we are all siblings in the grand scheme. I mean, we talk about proper breeding. Yikes! You see what I mean? That's funny, But in the grand scheme of it all, we are all siblings. It's so funny to say like that so casually. I think that's just such a hilarious thing to be able to say. Oh, that's great. Proper breeding. Discussing, siblings. I think that's just so cool to say. Yeah, truly. Yeah. Yeah. That's sweet. God puts focus on the family. The way he says it should be, because he designed the thing, the human being in the place the earth were placed on, the place we've been placed on. I seriously feel like I'm like fading out. I feel like I might just die. It's like 11 o'clock p.m. I don't know. I feel like I should say that. There you go, at the time that it is. My mom's in the hospital. That's kind of what I'm saying is, sometimes we feel what other people are going through and we're connected to them spiritually. So, I don't know. My mom had open heart surgery. I just talked about it. Past episodes of In the Image Clothing Company podcast. A week ago today, she had open heart surgery. She's recovering in the hospital still as of right now, as far as I know. So I talked to her earlier, and she was still there. So she actually lives here in this house, and so she's not here, but she's going to like a recovery center. So I've heard tomorrow, if plans don't change, for maybe a couple weeks. Recovery center, like a care center type place, rather than the hospital. Anyway, I don't know. I say it like that, giving context, because we really do, sometimes we feel what other people are feeling. And this is something, again, no belief. It's the truth of all things. It's the gospel of Jesus Christ. Even friends, they have their like cycles, like females, women, they have their like, ovulation cycles line up at times when they spend a lot of time around each other. It just happens, truly. I mean, there's a lot going on, a lot more going on, like in the spirit than people realize. You don't have to believe in anything or be religious. It's just the truth. It happens. I mean, you can measure it statistically. Heart rates, heart rates between people who love each other. Talk about puppy love, yikes. True love, real love, though, people who love each other, their heart rates can actually sync up just by being around each other. Like the rate that their heart beats at, the rhythm, time per minute, right? That the heart pumps blood through their body. It really can. It does. I mean, it's been documented. It happens. The truth of all things, I mean, it's crazy what God does. Shoot. I mean, like crazy, it's amazing. It's wonderful to know that there's actually a God. There's an actual almighty being who's not just out there somewhere, but he's ever present. I mean, that's just the knowledge of that is ridiculous. The fact that it is the truth, and hear that phrasing, the fact that it is the truth, it's what? Is also crazy. Even be able to say it like that is crazy. I mean, it's just nuts. God is there, man. Don't believe in anything. See what happens. He'll manifest himself to you. But not as puppy love, because God's love is eternal. So that's what I'm saying, I mean, even with like stuff like this, a company is, don't do things. Yeah, shoot, it's cool. It humbles me because it just shows me what I'm really doing here. And I know only because of that, because I've been shown what I'm really doing here, only because I've been doing this out of my own hands. I've been, meaning outside of my hands, I've been doing this. I've been letting God just kind of take this, and I've just been acting when he needs me to, filming videos when he needs me to, learning something when he needs me to. I mean, it's crazy the way that he's had me learn things through this as well, just out of personal experience. It's been such a, yeah, it's an approach you can't have unless you're doing it through Jesus Christ, God himself. I mean, there's no other way that eternal things can happen, that you can have a lasting love rather than puppy love. That's what I mean. We've talked about relationships quite a bit on In the Image Clothing Company podcast, actually. I don't really know exactly what titles to reference right now, but I've just talked about relationships quite often, Oh, shoot. Anyway, it's crazy. Puppy love, please don't get yourself into a marriage of regret. But you don't know what you don't know, like I was saying earlier. Like we say, you can't be held accountable for what you don't know, but that's why we preach the gospel of Jesus Christ as disciples or followers of Jesus Christ, is so people know how to have a lasting, loving relationship. Otherwise, you just don't. There's only one way it happens. This is what I mean. There is only one way. That's an episode title of In the Image Clothing Company podcast. And then the videos I filmed in St. George, well, 2 of the videos, I filmed many videos down there when I was down in St. George, Utah, where we're based, but I'm just not there currently. Okay. 2 videos that I filmed down there, though, for those 2.5 weeks that I was there, about a week plus ago. Oh, shoot. I'm moving down there for life. Base camp for life. The poodles, the building, the team, In the Image Clothing Company, Southern Utah, St. George, the desert, the Mojave Desert. Oh my heavens. It's like the very tip of the peak of the tip of the, it's right at the top of the, this is just the tip of the iceberg. The Mojave Desert, Arizona and Nevada. And then we're just right there on the border in St. George, Utah. It's the very southernmost part of Utah. Just about all the way west, too, of Utah. It's so cool. It's a true desert down there. What I'm saying is, though, there is only one way the feet work. There is only one way the hands work. I made these videos because, we just have bones connecting to bones through ligaments with a little layer of cartilage or cushioning between those joints. And things only track in line. Musculature only pulls the endpoints exactly in line together. Okay? And if we're not in our neutral position, then things just bind up. There's only one way. The feet grip arches. There's only one way the hands actually open and close, There's only one way we can clear all the bones and things like this that have so many bones in them. There's like mid to upper 20 amounts of bones in the hands and in the feet, right? Like one hand or one foot. There's like 26 or 27 bones in each. A lot of functionality, dexterity, motion, okay, arches. There's a lot that happens in the body, really, but it'll just do it if we allow it to work. God designed the body to work. Designed to Work is an episode title of In the Image Clothing Company podcast. I love that. It's like so like off the tempo and then back to it. Oh, shoot. Metronome Madness. Check it out. 40 episodes. 40 episode series on In the Image Clothing Company music. Metronome Madness. Okay, if you want to. Anyway, it is what it is. And what it is cool, because the last episode was in St. George, Utah, and it's the promised land for me personally, Evan Strong, and in the Image Clothing Company. I'm in this for life. Puppy love, though, man, you just can't be doing things for a time and have them last. Catch the phrasing. It's literal, man. I mean, that's the thing, is you can just discuss stuff so simply. Because things are simple. Life is so very simple, man. Very simple. Very hard sometimes. Very simple. Though, that's not opposites. Those things coexist, okay? As we say, we have to be intentional, man. You have to be intentional. You can't just go haphazardly into a relationship. Because it's probably not going to last. You can't just go haphazardly buy this 4-month-old German Shepherd puppy today at the animal shelter, the South Utah Valley Animal Shelter. That's the thing, is this woman, there was a woman, I didn't say anything about her yet in this. There was a person who was a female. She was a human being. This body of flesh and bone was speaking into a technological device, which is a communication machine. Anyway, there's this woman talking on a phone to someone else, her husband, actually. She was trying to kind of convince him to let her bring home this German Shepherd puppy. He was like 4 months old, like I said. And I've said that like 3 times because he was cute. I intentionally did not take this puppy out because he was so cute. Seriously. Because he's going to be the one that gets adopted before a lot of the other dogs in there. That girl, Melon... She's a husky. She's been there for months. I mean, I've been going to the South Utah Valley Animal Shelter since, the beginning of 2025. I started going there just occasionally. It's been, often, actually. I mean, it's been many times. I've gone there a lot, really, this year in 2025, and just hung out with the dogs. And this girl, Melon, this beautiful husky, beautiful, that's why I'm saying it. I'm so shocked. She's visually beautiful dog. She's got soft fur. She's so sweet. I mean, she's got so much energy, but again, you can't blame a husky for wanting to run. That's what they're literally bred to do in their body's genes, in their chemical makeup. They're supposed to run, and they're really good at it. Okay, to pull sleds across the snow, like I was saying. That's what they're for. The breed of a husky. Human beings did that, right? Seriously, we made huskies, essentially. Kind of, right? Through just like selective breeding. I don't know how she's not been adopted. She's awesome. She's not the dog for me. I guess anyone could say that, and maybe that's the reason, but she's so great. And she's been there for so many months, and this puppy, people love puppies. The puppy love. And so that's the thing, is if you do go to a shelter and you're just thinking about, adopting a dog, see what you're really doing and do it for the right reasons. Because if a puppy's there, well, it's only going to be a puppy until it's not anymore. That's the problem. So anyway, there was a really cute German Shepherd puppy. I like German Shepherds. They're great dogs. Great dogs health-wise in a lot of ways, and temperament-wise, really smart, hard-working, pretty well-rounded dogs. That's another breed that really gets used for service dogs in a lot of cases. Police dogs, Yeah, they use German Shepherds for a lot of things. Like big things is what I mean, like big purposes. I don't mean like just that dogs are just meant to be used. You can have a dog just to be a pet, and that's entirely fine, but... dogs really do a lot for us as well as just being companions, as we say. So, yeah, man, I mean, cute puppy for sure, but are you going to be content with this little, 25-pound puppy once he's like a 70-pound full-grown German Shepherd? Like 3 times as heavy and, 2 or 3 times the size, right? You still going to like him as much? That's what I'm saying. Once you've been in a relationship with somebody for however many years, and all of a sudden you got, all their things they didn't really show you all that well, potentially, which that's what I'm saying. Try to show everything you can as soon as you can in relationships to the other person, because you're going to be in it or you're not, really, the relationship. But, sometimes things surprise people as time goes on. Stuff that maybe nobody was hiding, but there was just no situation where it would come up, like something that they do that you don't like so much. And you got to deal with it if you're going to deal with it. See what I mean? It just is what it is, man. People are just who they are. Dogs are just how they are, Life is just what it is. It's just the truth of all things. The point is, we got to be looking at things long term, We got to be able to be okay with things just being what they are. Otherwise, you try to make something be something for a while, and then you just can't keep up the act, The puppy's not going to keep being a puppy. This person's not going to keep treating you like their new boyfriend, for all you women. Or, their new girlfriend, for all you men. I mean, it's just not going to happen, Time goes by, and things just kind of settle into what they are. We got to be okay with whatever it is forever. Think Celestial. Shout out to Russell M. Nelson. Seriously, the dude was a heart surgeon. Sojourner. No, a surgeon. Yeah. I've had 2 heart surgeries. I've had 6 heart surgeries. Just start slurring my words. I've had 2 full open heart surgeries, though, like, what my mom had. Similar type of surgery, not for the same reasons. But yeah. Just context. I've talked about it where I have. But it's cool, because I talk about allowing the body to work, and I've been through a lot. Shout out to NF. I've been through a lot. I don't know how to express it to people. Don't think that I can. And then he goes on anyway. The rapper NF. That's one of his lyrics from one of his songs. Because that's the thing, is we go through a lot sometimes. We don't know how to really express it to people. But a lot of times, even if we don't think that we can, we just don't really need to. People don't need to know what they don't need to know about us without us being secretive. It's just, you don't have to tell anything to everybody. Catch that phrasing. You don't have to tell anything to everybody. You don't have to tell everything to anybody. You don't have to say anything ever, really. Not really. Nobody can force you to speak. They can kill you. That's the thing. Nobody can really force you to do anything, truly. I mean, they can't. There's repercussions. But you doing something is an action that you do. That's what I'm saying. Getting offended is something you've done. No matter how offensive something else is around you. See what I mean? It's crazy. This is the truth of all things. The gospel of Jesus Christ. Welcome. Episode 184 of In the Image Clothing Company Podcast, titled Puppy Love. Sometimes, man. And then other times, too. And in between it all, it's just life. And that's how it is with relationships, Sometimes you got like the highest highs, and sometimes you got the lowest lows. Sometimes your puppy's so cute, and other times it's chewing on your furniture. You see what I mean? Oh, shoot. This is what it is, man. This is the gospel of Jesus Christ. I mean, meaning there's just opposition in all things. There's just 2 sides to life. There's just the puppy who's so cute and sleeping there just like, oh, she's an angel. You're looking at your little puppy, and your little girl is just laying there in their little, like, puppy bed or whatever, wherever you got her placed. She's probably on your bed. Let your dog sleep with you. I don't even think that's an opinion. I mean, let your dog sleep with you, In your bed is what I mean. Like, man, they're your family, Your dogs do so much for you. They just do. I can say that without even knowing your personal experience and situation. Dogs, I mean, yeah. Let your dog sleep in your bed, man. I mean, seriously. Like, I feel like it's a huge thing to say. I know some people, they stick their dogs out in the backyard in a box. And then they say they love them so much. That's what I mean, about your kids. Like, yeah, you really love your kids, or you're just excited to have a baby? No, that's crazy. That's what I mean. It's so harsh. But you gotta address that. You gotta face the reality of that. You can't just be so excited to have a baby that you're not willing to, take care of your teenager. See what I mean? 15 years down the line, 17, 18 years down the line, your baby is not just something that you can show off to your friends anymore. Now there's somebody who's eating all your food, but they're still your kid, right? Your puppy all of a sudden went from being this sweet little sleeping angel, you know, to being like 4 times its weight in size. Plus, I mean, probably more than that. Well, I mean, certainly more than that with some dogs. I mean, you got dogs that get over 100 pounds and they get born as like three-pound dogs or something, you know. I don't know. I mean, how heavy are those puppies when they're born? Like big dogs? I'm thinking of like a Saint Bernard or something. I was talking with one of my friends tonight at that Christmas party about Saint Bernards. Another one of those dogs that I had never really spent time with personally until just a few weeks ago at the shelter, the South Utah Valley Animal Shelter. Shout out to them. Yeah, because, yeah, they're doing good things, man. I got to hang out with a Saint Bernard. These dogs, I mean, they're well over 100 pounds. How heavy are these puppies at the beginning, you know? I mean, some puppies are pretty heavy already, just coming out of the womb, you know? Yeah. Anyway, like that golden retriever I held the other day, I talked about, you know, I mean, these dogs, sometimes the puppies at like 8 weeks old are bigger than a lot of full-grown dogs at like 15 years old. Got a Chihuahua who weighs like half as much as a few-week-old, you know, Saint Bernard, probably. I mean, yeah, anyway. What I'm saying is, the puppy's not always going to be a puppy. I mean, the puppy's going to be, like, something you got to watch out for, you know. You got to protect your own jaw with this dog with his head as big as yours and strength, like, matching yours. Your dog swings his head around, and you got to watch your jaw, seriously, your teeth. You know, if you're just like sitting on the ground next to your dog. I mean, you standard poodles, you know. I sit down next to a standard poodle, and we're at head height together. That's why we chose the size as one of the fourths of In the Image Clothing Company's dog fourth, right? In the Image Clothing Company poodles, standard size, the large dog specifically, because I can sit here on the ground as I do. It's very natural for the human body, right? Chairs are damaging to the human being. Okay, one size fits the really tall guy, an episode title of In the Image Clothing Company podcast. But yeah, I mean, we don't want weight on the musculature of the body. You sit on the ground and you're sitting on the bottom of your pelvis, your ischiums or sit bones. You sit on a chair height and you're probably having weight on the musculature of the rear of your upper leg, your hamstrings. And then your legs can't even support the rest of your body from there up. And then your shoulders deactivate and everything else out to your fingertips and up to the tip of your head because you're sitting on your hamstrings. And well, it's become a modern, regular height chair. It's unnatural. Right, we could say it's like become what we think of as a natural height chair. It's unnatural for the body. There's only one way the human body could ever work. That's why I'm sitting on the ground right now. That's why I sit on the ground when I film episodes of In the Image Clothing Company podcast. Of In the Image Clothing Company podcast, right? I sit on the ground because it's natural. And then I can sit here and I can talk so well. Listen how well I speak. You know, I've got 184 episodes as of this one on how well I speak. You know, when I can just like have good breath control and articulate my words well and just think clearly because my body's in a physically mechanical able to position, right? Physically mechanically able to position, you know, to speak well, to actually breathe well. Yeah, it is what it is. And what I'm saying though is something about chairs. How did I get to that? It's good to say, good context. And that's why one size fits the really tall guy, is because the longer your lower legs are, you know, you have a higher chance of getting your hamstrings off the chair height and be able to be on your sit bones, right? I mean, it just is what it is. Anyway, the point is, let's try to get back to where I was right before that, because I was saying something about dogs. Oh, and the height. When I'm sitting on the ground, I'm at eye level with the standard size poodle. Just sitting right here. Okay? Big dogs. I love it. Like that Mastiff today. I was sitting next to this dude on the ground, and I can hold the dog's body, and he's like, he's a big dude, you know, a big dog. But I love it because it's healthy, physically, you know, mechanically healthy for the dog and the human being. The dog's not trying to get up to you and you're not bending down to the dog when the dog's just too small for you. Not everybody's as tall as me. Some people are much taller than me, but I'm well above average height. But even that, I mean, even just like average height people below average height, even people who are very short. You got people, I think they actually like technically call people dwarfs, right? Dwarfism. I don't even want to like try to. I don't even want to try to be politically correct, but I just want to say it as it is because I've heard that there's like average height people. And people much taller and people much shorter. It doesn't matter how short you are or whatever, but it's an actually physical condition that people have sometimes. They don't grow above like a certain height. There's like genetic reasons to go into it. It doesn't matter. That's what I'm saying. It's even people like that. You're just a human being, whatever. That's why I say I don't care to be politically correct. I'm just trying to discuss it correctly. Regardless of if the terminology offends someone, just hear what I'm saying. You know what you're hearing, right? Like I say, blunt, bold, raw, real. In the Image Clothing Company. It is what it is. I'm not being mean, but you might think I am. I mean what I mean, though. And what I mean, bro, is a lot of people are just different heights. The point is, just a big dog is beneficial for just about everybody. And there's some things, it's hard to handle some big dogs for sure. Physically, they're just strong. That Mastiff, he's stronger than me, no doubt. No question. I mean, he was pulling me all over the place today. I said that to him. I'm like, if you wanted to, you just drag me. If you wanted to go somewhere, I would not be stopping you. On the other end of the leash, I mean, it was a slip lead. We love slip leads under the Image Clothing Company podcast. In the Image Clothing Company poodles, we love slip leads. But the thing is, a lot of people don't like slip leads because they think you're going to strangle your dog. But if your dog's pulling on the leash anyway, your dog's pulling on the leash. I mean, if you got a well-behaved dog, and sometimes you can only do so much. Dogs are just their own person, if you will, at times, But if you've got a well-behaved dog, it shouldn't even be pulling on the leash anyway. Doing all we can through training to just have the dog stay at our side when we're walking. And, yeah, slip lead's not going to strangle your dog. I mean, you can strangle a dog with anything, accidentally is what I mean. Like, it is what it is. But yeah, Mastiffs are strong. There's a lot of, the poodles are strong. Some little dogs are pretty strong, but they're just not heavy enough to have enough, like, anchoring to the earth to pull you, really. Their feet will just slip. That's why we talk about natural flooring. One of the things with the goal being natural is just this unnatural flooring we have nowadays. And for our dogs, it's really great to have textured flooring. You've got your tile or your hardwood or your concrete and your dog's on it all the time. It's feet, well, human beings as well, but we can do something about it. Our dogs don't really have a say. You can go outside or do something different. Put shoes in the garbage can if they're altering your body. The feet only work barefooted. Another video I made in St. George about a week and a half ago, down in St. George, Utah, where we're based. I'm just not there as of right now, right? So I'm moving down there. Don't take my word for it. Don't believe me, but I'm just saying stuff, dude. Who cares? If it lines up, it's truth. If it's truth, it's truth. If I'm just claiming something, disregard it. I mean, I'm just a human being. But yeah, that natural texture to the flooring is really good on the dogs, all the way up to their shoulder joints, through their whole spine, and, their jaw, stabilizing their entire body. Yeah, their entire body. Human beings, too, textured flooring to grip those arches. That's why we call it gripping arches. That's why we have the height that comes from a gripped arch, right? The height of a gripped arch. A video under the main site of the Image Clothing Company. Arches grip. Inward. Opposing the center line, keeping us vertical on Earth's gravity. Like I say, that's how it works. But they need to be able to grip. That's what I mean. Puppy love. That's still this episode's title. A lot of good context in here. This is awesome. Yes, I love this so much. This is eternal, that's what I mean. That's what I mean. I just like fade away back there. Just like fall backward into this Christmas tree. Anyway. Puppy love. We just got to think long term. If you're going to get a puppy, that's great. And that's fine. People talk about, a lot of people put more, it doesn't matter. But the reason why we put more importance on purebred dogs than ever adopting dogs from shelters is because the reason a lot of the time that dogs end up in shelters, that's a lot of the reasons why, is because of breeding problems or problems that have come from improper breeding. Okay, so anyway, we love puppies, and puppies are great. But no matter how you come about getting a dog, if you get a puppy especially, just know it's going to be different when it's full grown in ways, and that's not a bad thing. It just happens. Like your own children, like you, from when you were a baby till now. It just is what it is. Things just change. You got to look down the road, though. Think about the lifespan of the dog. I mean, that's a really good thing to look at. If you're thinking about getting a puppy of a certain breed, look up the lifespan of that specific breed. And then look at your life for those next amount of years of what you can, at least kind of see it looking like. I mean, God's in charge, and who knows? Anything could happen. But, if you've got a pretty good idea of what the next, let's say you've got a standard poodle, we can get standard poodles to live about 15 years. Oh, yeah. Certainly. So what's the next 15 years of your life going to look like? If you're going to go through In the Image Clothing Company's, application of trying to get one of In the Image Clothing Company poodles puppies one day, when we have one of our litters that you'd like to try to get a puppy from, if, that's what I'm saying, if that's you, okay, because the puppies will go to somebody, right? It might be you listening to this right now, maybe, potentially. Episode 184 of In the Image Clothing Company podcast, before we ever even have Nita, the matriarch of the breeding program, or any puppies to come after her. And any litters that come from any other dogs after her, right? The point being, if you ever, are getting a puppy from anybody, please, first off, do all you can to try to get it from a credible breeder and learn what it really means to be a proper breeder. I mean, even if you're not going to breed dogs, if you're going to get a puppy, it's probably really, I'm not even going to say it like that. It is a good idea, let's say it like that, for you to at least do some research and have some level of understanding, at least, just meaning it doesn't have to be like all that deep, but just know to a degree what it means to breed dogs properly. If you're ever going to get a puppy, if you adopt a dog, that's one thing. A lot of times you probably won't even know where the history of the dog is or where it came from, and that's just what it is. And you're just giving a dog, kind of like a second chance at life at that point. A second chance at a family at that point. But if you're going to get a dog as a puppy, do all you can to just, know at least a little bit about the breeder and if they're breeding properly, right? Know a little bit, at least. A little bit. It could be just like very, very small amount, but enough to know what it means to breed dogs properly. That'll benefit you in your pocketbook. You're not going to be going to the veterinarian as often, or, as many times is what I mean, yeah, probably, almost certainly is the point. That's the reason to breed properly, right? Is just healthy dogs. Man, it's about the health, man. It's about the health. It's not about the prestige. Why we register dogs and why we have purebred dogs. No, it's about the health. That's the thing. Debunking myths, a lot of misconceptions. We discuss things as we do under In the Image Clothing Company, and we discuss things as they are under In the Image Clothing Company. What I'm saying really is, look at the next 15 years of your life, whoever you're getting a puppy from, but if it's In the Image Clothing Company poodles and you're getting one of our purebred standard poodles, yeah. Before you ever try to fill out an application of ours to see if you could get a puppy, don't even try. I'm not being mean. I just mean it because it's not going to go anywhere. If you already know you're not, or pretty well know you're not going to be able to keep the dog for life, don't even bother trying to fill out an application for an In the Image Clothing Company poodle puppy. No way. It's just a waste of your time, is what I mean. Because no, right? Just to be very clear, and yeah. Yeah, it's a good, yeah, no, don't, right? Don't, yeah. No. Well, it's like what I say, if you ever come to a poodle parade event and you have a dog that you just know is aggressive, don't even try to think you can bring your dog that you know is just aggressive, generally, right? Dogs can be aggressive wherever, and okay, we do what we can, but if you just know your dog's usually an aggressive dog, don't even try thinking about bringing it to a poodle parade event. Don't even try to think about putting that dog around anybody that it could potentially harm, or any other dog. Do all you can to have some, behavioral training and basic obedience, and if that doesn't really work, then just, I mean, just be very intentional with your aggressive dog. Some dogs are just aggressive. Sometimes it just happens. Some people are just aggressive. Sometimes it's a chemical thing in the body's makeup, and it's no one's fault. It's just biology. It just happens. But don't even try to do something that's not going to work, is what I mean. That's the thing, is God is in charge. That's what I'm saying. It's outside of our hands. The things that are, but the things that aren't, yeah, do all you can to look at the next however many years of your life is equivalent to the years of like the average length of the lifespan of whatever puppy you think you might be trying to get from anybody ever. It doesn't have to be our puppies. We only have the amount of puppies we have at the times we do. You know, it's not like we're trying to just sell as many puppies as we can. It's not the focus of breeding poodles under In the Image Clothing Company poodles. No, I mean, yeah, we'll make money from it, and that'll be great. You know, some supplemental income. Yeah, I mean, that's a reason, but not the reason by any means. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm making clear. And I made it clear, but I'm just saying it again here. You know, I mean, yeah, I'm just rhyming through this too. So, yeah. Anyway, this is cool. That's what I'm saying, bro. Documentation. The 1st of December, 2025. Yeah, I love this so much. I'm in this for life, man. So, what I'm talking about though is, I mean, it's like having kids, you know. I mean, you don't want to just have kids to have a kid. That's the thing. You know, those of you who know how kids come to be, you know. That's what I mean. It starts beforehand, you know. Be intentional before the kid's ever born. Be intentional before the puppies are ever born. See what I mean? Yeah, there you go. Yikes. Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. God puts a lot of emphasis and focus on the family. I keep saying it. It's been the past 3 or 4 episodes of In the Image Clothing Company podcast. I've said a phrase just like that, you know. That's a big thing, yeah. The family, God, Jesus Christ, our Heavenly Father. Okay. The family. Yeah, anyway, what I really am relating the puppies to and like their whole lifespan is our children. You know, some people really just are like, if you've heard that, you know, if you've heard people say they have baby fever, that's a phrase I've heard people say, meaning like they're just so excited to have a baby because of a baby. But that baby's only a baby until it's not. It becomes a toddler, it becomes a, you know, child, it becomes a teenager, it becomes an adult, whatever, you know. Yeah, that's what I mean. Your puppy becomes an adult dog. Yeah. I mean, be careful with just having babies because you're excited to have a baby. It's like having puppy love, you know, baby fever and puppy love. I mean, that's like the same phrasing, really. Be careful about that, you know. Don't take my opinions, but that's not an opinion. That's how your life's going to be as good as you can make it, is have kids for the right reasons, you know, get puppies for the right reasons. Start a company for the right reasons, start a business for the right reasons. I like to kind of separate those two. A business is more, at least the way that it seems to be. I don't want it to be like just my opinion on it, but you know, I mean, you can either have something that you start and, you know, the focus of it being money gain, or you can have something be like impact. Company is like the word, you know, company, like you're in company of people, like in the Image Clothing Company, in the company. Yes, some people like a cup of tea, you know, it is what it is. I'm a lyricist. But you can have a business just to make money, you know. You can have kids just to have a baby, or you can have children to have a family. You can have a puppy just for a fun puppy experience, or you can get a puppy because you're excited for a lifelong companion, for the life of the dog. Or it might be for your life. You might die before the dog does. People die. They just do. And the dog is a dog at a puppy age and at its death date. Same with a human being. Don't have a baby just to have a baby. Have a baby to have a family. Because that child that was once a baby is still your child when it's like 45 years old and you're, you know, getting closer to the end of your life. Or however, you know, wherever you are in age range exactly, you know, it's similar to that, right? See what I mean? Yeah, it is what it is. We got to look at this as a long game, bro. Puppy love leaves. And I don't love things that leave. Even if you love the leaves, in the autumn time, the sun will shine when the summertime comes around again. Okay. It is what it is, bro. Bro. And sis. That's what I mean, sis. I like to call the dog sister. Hey, sister. Sis. Come here, girl. I don't know. Female dogs, I just resonate with them. I was talking about that a couple nights ago. One of these episodes of In the Image Clothing Company podcast, But having a breeding program, that's just how that works, You need female dogs, like the mothers. I mean, yeah, anyway. Puppy love. Because that's the cool thing about dogs, is we're having poodles, as in the Image Clothing Company poodles, for the sake of them becoming mothers, We can be all excited about the puppies, but really that's just like a... shoot, and listen to this. I mean, that's the thing, talking about how love actually grows over time. That's the thing is, I will love Nita more as a mother than I do as a puppy. My first purebred standard poodle. Again, I don't know, maybe Nita can't even have puppies. I want to address that. I understand that's a possibility. Some dogs can't have puppies. Some women can't have children. It just happens. Biologically, I mean, in the reproductive system, sometimes it just can't happen. It's out of our hands. That's what I mean. God's in charge. Another one of those things that just shows us that, no matter how much you think you can just like make whatever you want happen, you can't. None of us can, really. God's actually in charge. It's not my opinion. There is truth to life. Don't believe me, okay? But what I'm saying is, yeah, if it is Nita, I mean, that's the intention on getting a female purebred standard poodle, is to breed her. For me, personally, as the founder of In the Image Clothing Company, within the Image Clothing Company, poodles being one of our fours. That's the reason we are doing this at all. Well, no, that's not the truth. That's not the reason we're doing it at all. But that's the goal, the focus, is furthering good bloodlines of dogs, showing how to breed properly. Also just documenting it under the gift of video because it's a cool process to be able to see. And the puppies are cute. They are. That's something to make clear. Yeah, it's great to think puppies are cute. As long as you also love them as an adult, right? But I was talking about Nita getting pregnant. Yeah, because our poodles, Nita's just the first. We're going to have a lot of poodles. I mean, I'm in this for life. Nita, that's the thing, is one day Nita will die, and I know that before I even get her. I mean, and not only do I know it, I make it a point that we need to understand these things, that people and dogs and everything dies. I wanted to make it like this whole, like, dramatic, over-exaggerated thing. That's why I paused right after I said it. But it's just, it can be hard in ways, but it doesn't need to be. Darn, that's crazy. It's the truth. It is the truth of all things. Jesus Christ is his name. The truth. Anyway, I still have dog hair on me from those dogs that are furry. I guess it's dog fur. Poodles don't shed. I mean, that's some good context. Some people don't know that. They shed about as much as a human being does. Hair will come out of them where it does, but pretty much not at all. Just about. Not at all. It happens, but not much. Poodles don't drool. Maybe just about as much as a human being does. I mean, right? You see what I mean? It can happen, but pretty much doesn't happen. There's a lot of reasons we love poodles here under In the Image Clothing Company. Poodles, okay? And yeah, I'll love Nita more as a mother than even as a puppy, she's sitting there, laying there, actually is what she'll be doing, feeding milk that she is producing. That's what is happening. How does this happen? Her body is producing food in the form of milk for offspring of hers that didn't even exist like 2 months ago. Dogs, I think it's like 60-something days, give or take, for a poodle's, what do you call that? Shoot in a good way. It's just humbling me. This is awesome context. Just be able to document. What do you call it when you've got, 9 months pregnancy. Human beings, they're in the mother for like 9 months. Dogs are in the mother for about 2 months. I think it's like 63 days, give or take, something like that. Somewhere around there at least. Anyway, about 2 months, dogs are inside of their mother, growing after conception. Anyway, yeah, it is what it is. Here's your anatomy and biology and reproductive lesson. Okay, wow, this is great. That's what we're here to do, is to give the truth. The dogs have puppies, and now you got these puppies just drinking milk from this mother dog, and she's making the milk. She'll eat dog food, and a lot of times you'll supplement the mother's food when the dog is producing milk for the puppies, because and when the puppies are growing inside of her as well too, because she needs a lot of nutrients to feed the puppies as well as herself. So sometimes you kind of supplement her diet, just give her a little bit more food. Sometimes it's quite a bit more food. She's feeding like 7 or 8 puppies. Standard poodle, they've got good sized litters, maybe 10 even, somewhere around 10 puppies a lot of the time in these litters. Anyway, that's awesome. I'm excited. You can tell it like hits me. I'm like, oh, yep. That's why we're doing this. And that's the thing too, is again, good context on, I don't just have some kind of, and this is probably pretty obvious if you know, right? Things that have been documented before today's date, but I don't just have some, to make it clear, right? I don't have some kind of like, that's what I mean, puppy love, where I'm just excited for a bunch of cute puppies. It's like, no, I know a lot about this. I'm doing it proper. We're breeding dogs. We're breeding dogs to breed dogs well, to show human beings across the entire earth how to breed dogs well, healthily, properly, registered, health testing. It's just as real as it is, bro. That's what we're doing here. That's what In the Image Clothing Company Poodles really is, in the aspect of breeding dogs. We do so much, but that's one of the things we do. That's why, is to do it right. There's a right way to do it. There is only one way. Like I said, there's not only one way necessarily in this, but there's only one way for things to happen, in the ways that certain things really only have one way for them to happen. There's really good ways to do things, and there's really wrong ways to do things. And we're trying to show the wrong ways, and for the sake of not doing them. What I mean is, we're trying to give good context on the good ways to do things, the right way to do things. There is a right way to do certain things in life. I know people have their own ways of doing things. I'm one of those people. I don't do things the way that a lot of other people do, because it doesn't work that well for me, even if it works well for them. But there's certain things in life where there truly is a right way. Like bringing life forms onto the planet. Breeding dogs is what I'm saying in this instance. But yeah, it's cool. This mother is producing milk, feeding puppies, and that's what I mean. That's where the love comes amplified for the mother dog, from like me personally, Evan Strong, as the owner of my personal poodles that haven't even come yet, right? But I'll love them more as the mothers than I even did as puppies, because look at what they're doing. They're taking care of their own kids. She's become more mature now. We'll do all we can. Again, there's certain things, that's something that's so silly. It's so silly. I don't know. I just feel like people look at it so wrong. A lot of times people get so after their dogs for not behaving. What it means for us to tell a dog it's not behaving is it's not doing what we want it to. But if you don't tell it what you want it to do, then it can't do it. It's going to do what it's going to do. Dogs naturally are just going to do whatever they want. Well, whatever's natural to the dog. It's unnatural for us to tell the dog to do something we want it to do. It's unnatural for us to train dogs. It can be a very beneficial and good thing, but it's unnatural. Really, it is. It's opposing what the dog would naturally do, to tell it to sit when it just wouldn't otherwise sit. It's wanting to run after something. That's what it would naturally do, is chase after prey to eat. You're telling it to just sit and stop chasing after stuff. It's like, why? Your dog has to know what you're trying to tell it, or else it's not going to do what you're trying to tell it. It's like, why are you telling me to do something I don't even understand? Your dog doesn't speak English until it does. I mean, our dogs understand English or whatever language you speak. I mean, you can get your dog to understand you. Most dogs. I mean, that's the thing, is dogs are individuals, but that's what I'm saying, is it's so silly. I mean, people just expect dogs to be obedient to something they've never learned. That's your fault as the owner entirely. That your dog's misbehaving, if you're not doing all you can to teach it how to behave, that's your fault. Holy cow. I mean, some people are just, that's what I mean. There's only truth to life. This thing's just an animal. You're getting mad at it because it's not like standing on one leg, balancing, because you try to train it to, and you're misbehaving, dog. No, it's not. It's your fault. Holy cow, that's crazy. Oh my gosh, people are insane. People are literally crazy. I mean, delusional, thinking the dog should just know what it should do. But this is what I mean, is you don't know what you don't know. And some people maybe just really don't know, but that's just why we're here. Holy cow, that's what I mean. In the Image Clothing Company Poodles, we're really giving the truth. The truth is, maturity comes, and your dog can be more behaved, actually, in a lot of ways after it's become a mother. Because she just understands more about life. That's what I mean, Just, oh my gosh. Oh, I'm so excited. And maybe I die tomorrow. Maybe I never even get to have any poodles. And that's fine. I'm still excited. Serious. On both ends. That's awesome to say. I mean, that's the truth, too, either way. And that's crazy. Dogs. We've got purebred standard poodles that we're going to have. We don't yet, as of today's date, the 1st of December, 2025. But we will, unless we don't. Don't believe me. But that's the thing, right? Maturity comes and the dog just gets cooler. The dog gets more awesome when she's taking care of her own kids. Do you notice? I mean, I almost never sit this direction. As of today's date, at least, I'm usually kind of looking left a little bit because it opposes the right-handed world and this right-handed patterning we're in. But I pointed over this way as if Nita or any of our poodles are laying here on the ground feeding their puppies, right? Letting their puppies drink their milk that they're producing in their body. I mean, how does this happen? It happens for human beings as well. That's what I mean. Just how do these things happen? It's God. And that's what I'm saying is I pointed over here. So now I'm like turned and my attention's like over here as I'm talking about how my love for these dogs will grow from how much love I had for them as a puppy once they, are just like progressing through their life and, becoming a mother to puppies. I mean, that's nuts, man. That's crazy. Puppy love. It's a thing of the past once your dog's an adult. Baby fever. It's a thing of the past when you're, trying to get your teenagers to behave. We got to look at things as they are. That's what I mean. There's no opinion to like love. There isn't. It couldn't be. Love is love, Yikes. That's something you got to be careful with, though, because God sets parameters on what it means to, act out of love. There you go. But yeah, so we've got dogs coming. Don't believe me. But this is so cool because I haven't quite discussed in this much depth a lot of the things that I've discussed in this episode until this episode, So puppy love. I think that's where we leave this. I think, check this out. Good. It didn't actually pop. Kind of like almost did. It crackled a little bit in my neck. Anyway, don't pop the body. I just, I'm still getting out of chronic patternings to the degree that I am a little bit. And I'm also just, loving life, man, even when it's hard. God teaches us a lot of beautiful things through our struggles. That's where we'll leave this. All right, there's a lot of good discussion on puppy love and what I mean by it and why we made this episode is for the reasons we made it. I love saying the word we when it's just, human being wise, it's only me sitting here, but we're partnering with God. When we're doing things, when we're praying about things and praying through things, God leads us, guides us, and just like, carries us through it. And so, I say we. A lot of times I just don't even feel like it could be a possibly okay thing to even try to think is happening, to say, that we're alone. It's alone, not lonely. An episode title of In the Image Clothing Company podcast. It's like, no, I mean, when you know God, you know God. God is ever present. He's the one who never leaves the one behind. It's like, we're not doing anything alone. And I never even think about it. It's always a we, because God's always there. And also, I just think about other people as being like an extension of myself. I was talking with my mom about this a few months back. Like, I never think about myself as being separate from someone else. I'm only saying that because it's the truth, because of reasons like this. Like, I say we, and, just all out of all legitimacy. I mean, I'm the only human being who's been sitting here speaking words in this episode of In the Image Clothing Company podcast, episode 184, titled Puppy Love. But I say we, and it's like, there's no like thought to it. Like, should I say we to try to seem like I'm more involving? It's like, no, I mean, I don't know. I don't know. I never feel separate. I mean, my entire life, I've never felt separate from anything. And that's so weird. Because the point is, we're not. Like I'm saying, everything's just, no. Like I say, we're all human beings. We're all on the same earth. We're all designed by one God. We're not separate. And you don't have to be lonely when you're alone. As far as like not around other human beings, the Spirit of God is ever present. God dwells in all things. God is all. He's the great I am. I mean, there's no other option but we. It's always, where 2 or 3 are gathered in my name, 2 or more are gathered in my name, there will I be in the midst of them also. Something like that, right? Jesus Christ says. I mean, that's the point, is he's just here. I mean, that's the whole thing. I say there is only one God, and that's not opposing the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, by the way. It is not. Don't believe me, but people got all their misconceptions. I hit that point hard when I hit that point. I've been hitting that point hard when I hit that point often lately. So anyway, but there's one God. I mean, it's just God, the creator of all things. But he's not alone. He's got his only begotten Son and his Holy Spirit as the Godhead. 3. A congregation. Do you see what I mean? That's why God does it the way that's it. That's why God is who God is. Look at me get all comfortable. I was trying to say uncomfortable, and the word comfortable came out because I'm truly comfortable, but it's like this like discomfort of like, in a good way. I mean, look how I'm sitting. Well, when do I sit like this? I don't sit like this. I don't ever sit like this. Well, I mean, that's what I mean. I'm comfortable. I got more comfortable as I said that. I mean, God is only who he is, and I don't get to decide, but he does. Oh, no. We're just not alone when we're alone, I think that's the big thing with puppy love. I said I'd cut it. I'm like, I think we're going to wrap this up, and then here we go. Puppy love. A lot of times people get puppies because they don't want to be alone. So they get a puppy because it's like so fun, and because it's a puppy. Like this wire dog, whatever kind of breed it was, with the word wire in it, really wiry furred or haired dog today at this shelter I was talking about, right? South Utah Valley Animal Shelter. The point being with this dog, he was a puppy, and why was I saying anything about him specifically, though? Because people don't want to be alone, and puppies, they give you a lot to do. It can be hard work, for sure. It can be hard work, and some breeds are just naturally harder than others, truly, to deal with as puppies, and just throughout their whole life, really, too. Definitely. And, it doesn't have to be a bad thing, but some breeds require more work in a specific way than other breeds would. Okay. You get a husky, it needs to run, Yeah, those kind of things. You get a hound dog, well, huskies too are very vocal, but you get a hound dog, it's probably going to be loud. They're just going to howl, right? Certain things that just come with certain breeds. But what I'm saying is, if you feel lonely, you don't want to be alone. Sometimes you get a puppy just because it's a lot of excitement. No, that's the word that like the dog today. He's very excited, very excitable, and that's what I kept saying to him. I'm like, it's not even your fault, dude. You're just a puppy, but you have to stop biting me. I mean, he actually bit. A few of them were like I'm saying, he was almost like full-size standard poodle type height. I mean, he's a pretty big dog. He's probably like 50 pounds at least. He's a big boy. He was biting, you know. He's just a puppy, but he doesn't know how strong he is really at all. That's what I mean. He doesn't know much yet. He's just a puppy, naive, without being mean. That's what I mean. That's how you use that word. It's just the case. That's why I explained what that word means and how it's not an insult. You can use anything as an insult. You can strangle a dog with anything, like I said, right? And slip leads aren't bad. Naive isn't an insult. You see what I mean? Context. You got to have context. Everything's got to come with context. Context over content. An episode title of In the Image Clothing Company podcast. But this wiry dog today was wired, man. The dude had a lot of excitement. And so that's the thing is you feel lonely. Sometimes people want some puppy love because puppies are, usually full of a lot of excitement. But then maybe once the puppy, well, maybe it's not even on the puppy's end. Maybe once this person who got a puppy because talked about Earth's gravity, but I'm sitting like this. That's what I was thinking when I said I don't sit like this. I'm like pretty off-centered. I mean, I've still got support, and I'm still, activated through my whole body. And you can just hear it in my voice. You can't speak this full with resonance if your body's not activated. Speaking is just a physical thing, right? How clothing affects speaking. A video under the main site of In the Image Clothing Company. Yeah. What I'm saying though about this excitement that comes from the puppies is maybe now the person who felt so lonely and that's why they got the puppy just starts to like not feel lonely anymore because now maybe they get like, oh shoot, right? Something else to fill the gap. Maybe they just have a hard time being content being single and they want to be in a relationship and they weren't in one for a bit. So they got a puppy to fill the gap, mind the gap, an episode title of In the Image Clothing Company podcast. We talk about that for other reasons, but that's kind of the reason, actually, like minding the gap between us and God. If you feel like you have a gap in your life, get closer to God, the only fulfillment you'll ever have that's real. Jesus Christ is his name. But if you get a puppy to try to fill the gap because you didn't have a relationship with a human being, like a woman who doesn't have a man in her life, and she feels like that's what she needs to be fulfilled, that will never fulfill you. There can be a lot of fulfilling things that come from relationships or having children or whatever in life, but God's the only one that can actually fulfill you. You can have nothing and still have a good relationship with Jesus Christ, and really you have everything you could ever need, truly. And that's not some kind of like metaphorical, like feel-good thing. That's the truth. And don't believe me. That's the thing. It's a personal relationship. You'll know if you do it. It's up to you. Don't let me tell you something, please. And a third, please don't let me tell you anything. I'll tell you whatever I want. Don't believe it. That's what I'm saying. What I am saying, though, is now maybe after this woman, it could be a man on either end, but right, we'll say it as a woman right now for the sake of discussing this. Let's say she gets a puppy because she doesn't have a man in her life, but then she gets a man in her life, and now she takes the puppy to an animal shelter. Because what she really thought she wanted was the man in her life, and she just used the puppy love as a substitute for the, puppy love in the relationship with her man. Do you see what I mean? It could be a man to a woman, too. That's what, it happens on either end. This whoredom, this prostitution, this, what's the word? What's the word in Scripture? Just to be clear, I'm not like calling names. I'm saying it as it is. I've called people, without naming names, like straight up called people whores and sluts and prostitutes on In the Image Clothing Company before, In the Image Clothing Company podcast. I'm not saying inappropriate words, and I'm not accusing. I'm not being mean. I'm just saying it as it is. But what's the word they use? Harlot? In Scripture, Yeah. That's what creates this whole puppy love relationship. That's such an unhealthy dynamic, It's people that are not in it for the long haul. If you're just in it for a time and you just want some, like, what we could consider puppy love. See what I mean? See what I mean? It's like, I mean that on both ends. Like, see what I mean? And also, please see what I mean before you think I'm saying something I'm not. I'm only saying what I'm saying. Hear it correct. Or you're wrong. Truth is truth, bro. What did I actually say? What do these words actually mean? These are not insults. These are labels and titlings to a behavior in life that people have. I've done it in ways in my life. It just is what it is. It's the behavior. It's not an insult. It's the truth. Whores and harlots and sluts and skanky behavior to get a quick fix through puppy love. And this is a G-rated podcast. Well, I mean, it is what it is. I'm not trying to claim that necessarily. It's blunt, bold, raw, and real, but I'm just saying I'm not saying anything opposing God. That's what I am saying, is I'm making that clear. Oh, shoot. Welcome to In the Image Clothing Company podcast. Seriously, buckle up. It's been like this. It's been like this. This is what we are. It's been like this, bro. This is it. This is the truth. What I'm saying is, a lot of times we use puppy love, or like the idea of what that means, as just a substitute for not feeling okay in life. That's the thing, well, even in a relationship, people still don't feel good because they've got themselves in a bad relationship, looking at it out of puppy love rather than thinking celestial. It doesn't last. So they feel like they got to just kind of add some more stuff to it. So they get another puppy, Then the puppy gets mistreated. And it wasn't the puppy's fault. People get mistreated and it wasn't their fault. That's the whole thing about hurt people. Right? If somebody's hurting, they'll hurt somebody else through their pain without trying to. It just happens, bro. The only remedy is Jesus Christ. Don't take my opinions. So I won't give them. That's not an opinion. That's the truth. Don't believe me, though. Anyway, the point is that I'm pointing this whole viewership of In the Image Clothing Company podcast to God. He lasts, and nothing else will. And I'm a lyricist. Are you hearing this as I'm saying it, or you're taking my words and trying to change them again? Stop changing them then. Come back to this and see what I'm actually saying when I'm saying the words I'm saying. I'm just talking about dogs. I love poodles, man. Puppy love. Oh, shoot. Fine wine, an episode title of In the Image Clothing Company podcast. That's the thing, is things do get better with age. Things that are real. They really do. Cherish it. An episode title of In the Image Clothing Company podcast. Things get better with age. Anyway. I talked about this little quad scripture right here on that episode titled Cherish It under In the Image Clothing Company podcast. There's a little poodle Paw Patrol. Paw Patrol's a show with dogs. There's a little poodle bobblehead sitting on top of these scriptures right here, talking about things getting better with time and cherishing it and fine wine and poodle puppies and puppy love. Oh, you hear my knee crunch? Talk about internal rotation. Those lower legs, man. The right-handed world. I was tying my right foot externally for 20-something years of my life until I was about 24 years old. A lot of scar tissue in that lower leg, right? The importance of even Achilles tendon insertions, a video under the main side of In the Image Clothing Company. Also just the tendons that connect our calf muscle to our heel of our foot on the rear of our lower legs. And then along that shin bone on the front of the legs as well, people talk about shin splints. It's not a real thing. I mean, it's a real thing you're experiencing, but it's not a real, bodily problem. It's because you've got ropes on your feet. Maybe heels on your shoes that are there, right? The importance of zero-drop shoes. Keep your heels on the ground because there's only ground, firm ground, an episode title of In the Image Clothing Company podcast. But yeah, In the Image Clothing Company's shoelace technique, just the only way the feet are shaped. That's the point. You got to tie your shoes evenly. You've got to make room for those gripped arches. You've got to have the upper of the shoe as much as you can and as well as you can be shaped the way the top of the foot is shaped, because that's half of its function. Dorsiflexion versus plantar flexion. The importance of even ankle flexion. A video under the main side of In the Image Clothing Company. Did I mention I'm in this for life? Did I explain a little bit in here? I did, right, is the point of both those things. But the second one here, I did explain a little bit in here that I don't just have puppy love for some startup company. Do you see what I mean? I'm not trying to be prideful, but I'm prideful. I'm speaking the truth. I'm doing this eternal. I mean, I'm in this, man, and there's only one way the human body could ever work. Don't believe me, please. Truth is truth, though. So go to an anatomy class and see if what I say lines up. It's the truth, bro. It's the truth. It's the truth. Where did your clothing sit? Clothing for everybody. Man, woman, tall, short, skinny, fat, any age, any part of the earth, any time period to ever be. You're just a human being, and that's what you're doing, is just being a human. And what you're doing, if you're going to allow your body to work, which is the only thing you can do on the end of, either it being damaged or it actually functioning properly. Yeah, pants have to sit entirely above the hips at what's called our natural waist, where we bend side to side of the spine. Okay, let me do it like this. Internal rotation at the arms. Put my hands on my hips. Here you go. The natural waist. It's called that for a reason. It's where we naturally bend. Holy heavens. Right around the belly button area, really. Above the hips, below the lowest ribs. Here's the thing. Slightly higher in the front than the rear. With the waistband angle, we just got a neutral position to the posterior versus anterior rotation. Meaning like tucking underneath us versus like falling forward away from us. Of the pelvis, right? The hip structure. So yeah, slightly higher in the front. With the waistband, just really meaning never let it fall lower in the front. That's really all I mean by that, right? Horizontal, front to back on Earth's gravity, sure. Just no lower in the front. By any means. You're just pulling on musculature at that point. Okay, out of your only neutral pelvis position. But that's how our pants sit. It's not my opinion. It's nothing to do with fashion. I'm not mad. I'm crazy. Check out Metronome Madness. But the top seams of your shoulders, can I sit on that for a second? Who are you going to call when you want to know the truth of all things? The world called God crazy and still does. I mean, call me whatever you want, right? Pick up the phone and dial the numbers. CRAZY. And I know those are letters, right? But the top seams of our shoulders sit evenly behind the peak of our shoulders. Can we just address how grateful I am to be able to sit here and just speak like this? We've done it now. Thank you. But our shoulders only ever work behind our head. The shoulders follow shoulder seams. The peak of our shoulders is just the other end of the collarbone from the sternum in the center. I sound so mad sometimes. I get it. I'm not mad at all. At all. I'm just loud. Yeah. The edge seams of our tops sit at the edges of our shoulders, where the functionality of the shoulder is, right? It's a joint of material, and it's also a joint of the body parts, the humerus, which is the upper arm bone, the collarbone or the clavicle, another name for it, right? And the scapula or the shoulder blade. Okay, two names for the same things there. Anyway, there's a joint of the shoulder. There should be a joint of material meshing in that location there. I wore oversized clothing most of my life, really. I mean, I'm looking over here at some of these photos, throughout this episode of In the Image Clothing Company podcast. In that photo there that I'm looking at right now, I'm probably like 12, in like 7th grade. And I'm wearing what's almost certainly, without knowing for sure as of right now, an extra large t-shirt. I actually wear mediums. I'm 6'2" tall, but I've got some relatively narrow shoulders. I'm a pretty slender dude. Skeletal system wise, even no matter how much muscle mass I gained, I'd lose it after I stopped working out. There's only a normal to the human body. Normally, my body fits pretty darn well in mediums, and I'm taller now than I was in that photograph, and I can almost guarantee that was an extra large t-shirt. There's this blue t-shirt I have on there. I think that might be in St. George, Utah. Truly, I think it is. There's red rocks behind us. My sister and I are both in this photograph. It's probably like Pioneer Park or something in St. George, Utah. There's another photo there as well of me with red rocks behind me. It's just not really red rocks quite like that. Well, in some parts of Utah, sure, but we also had gone to St. George, just throughout our childhood at times. That was probably one of the times. Anyway, yeah, I mean, oversized clothing. I wore it till I was, slapped with humility by God. I mean, really. I was like 24. Wow, give or take. 25. I mean, maybe more like 25. I'm 26 now. My birthday's in July. I just say that because I'm about halfway through my 26th year. Just kind of timeline on, In the Image Clothing Company is only about 15, give or take, like I said earlier, right? 14 or 15 months old as of today's date. The 1st of December 2025. I just, there's a point to it because I started tying my shoes evenly before I started wearing like tops that fit me, for example. I was like 24 years old. Started tying my shoes evenly, finally settled on, and it's nothing about like trying to settle on an opinion or a decision, but I finally figured out how to weave a rope across the feet the only way the feet are shaped, and that's in the Image Clothing Company's shoelace technique. It's just what we title that, right? So you can find it under our 5-word name, which is an episode title of In the Image Clothing Company podcast. Our 5-word name. I'm just so humbled by this, man. It's awesome. Documentation. A record-keeping people. Members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. I am, again, I wasn't for a while there. 13 months of hell. I mean, it's just crazy. I'm just sitting here talking. If you want to listen, listen. I speak on stuff that'll benefit your life, no doubt. I don't care who you are. In a good way, because it helps you. You know what I mean? But I started tying my shoes evenly, and then I started wearing tops that fit after that, because you can't really actually have internal rotation at your feet if your shoulders can't support themselves, because when our shoulders fall down, really it puts our body into external rotation. It's just what happens mechanically. And we discuss it where we do, but that's enough to say in this to explain it, because I wore oversized tops for so long. Yeah, I mean, all throughout junior high and high school, at least, and after high school until I was like, maybe even 25 years old. It's probably when I started wearing size mediums in tops, The importance of tops, like I said, that's that video I filmed today on the main site of In the Image Clothing Company. They're so important. Anyway, we talk about it. What I'm talking about is puppy love. Now, that's not what I have. It's not about me, but I'm just who I am. Shout out to Christmas. Shout out to Christmas. Light the world. Yeah. Anyway. Yeah, puppy love. It is what it is. That's the thing, I don't stick with things all that often. I was saying that to my friend tonight at the Christmas party. I was talking to him about dogs. We were talking about animals and, just life. He's a real dude. I'm a real dude. And we had a real conversation, as we do. Which is such a breath of fresh air. Because sometimes that just is very hard to happen. Very hard to have with certain people. Yeah, and yeah. I literally just yawned after I said that. Because it is, yeah. It's just the truth. It's just so cool. It's so cool. It's so cool. Life is so cool. God is amazing. I don't stick with things very often. I love change so much. I was forced to have change so much growing up, and that might be a lot of the reason why I love it so much. You kind of just have to get used to stuff sometimes that you have no control over. You have to get used to it, or else you're just battling it. And acceptance is the way to have faith in God. Faith in God is the only way out. I said I was thinking about cutting it, an hour ago? Take yourself out of it, bro. Let God lead. That's me speaking to myself and everybody else who could possibly hear it. That's just the only way it's going to happen the best. Humble yourself. Let God humble you, really. But yeah, I was talking about change, I haven't stuck with that many things at all throughout my life. Music. I've addressed it, I've talked about it. Music is something I just can't leave. The greatest battle, truly the greatest battle in my life has been playing guitar. Even more so than just music in general. Holy cow. And then you notice, if you do, I haven't even read the guitar it's been quite shoot, man, and I thought about it. I used to always read the guitar, or whatever guitar I had at the time. I've had a lot of guitars. I've had like 20-something guitars, because that's a lot of what led me to understand the anatomy of the human body and how to allow the body to work is the sizing and setup of guitars, which we show under In the Image Clothing Company Music, like I said, In this, I said that, I say it where I do. That's the point. Ah, shoot. Like what I said, the point of In the Image Clothing Company Poodles is breeding dogs and showing how to do it properly. That's one of the points. The point of In the Image Clothing Company Music is showing the sizing and setup of guitars. That's one of the point. One of the points. To don't alter the body. Anyway, what I'm saying is, so many episodes of In the Image Clothing Company podcast before today's date, I've, played a guitar throughout it, in the intro or somewhere within it at least, usually in the intros. I haven't done that for the past quite a few, at least handful of episodes here of In the Image Clothing Company podcast, and it's fine. It's just that, the greatest battle in my life has been playing guitar. That's such a claim, but it's not a claim. I don't even care if that's needing to be called a great battle, but it is. That's what I mean. That's not me trying to say something. That's just how it came out. That became an episode title of In the Image Clothing Company podcast because it needed to be. That's just how it is. It's been rough trying to play guitar. I'm good at it, and I do it so well, but that's what I mean. The whole battle has been with the sizing and the setup and with, like, this whole emotional, spiritual battle. It's not me actually playing. It flows through me naturally, as music and lyricism does, and, tempo and rhythm and stuff. It just is what it is. Don't think I'm trying to make a claim. I don't even care. I'll make a claim when I make a claim. I just don't care to make any claims. But what I'm talking about, there's an episode of In the Image Clothing Company podcast titled The Insurance Policy. Talk about claims. Anyway, we're saying something here that's really important, actually. Change. And, a lot of times I've had puppy love for things, as we do, there's been a lot of things that I liked so much for a time. I just kind of stopped doing. And I just pretty much didn't really care all that much about after time went on, like hobbies and things like that in life. Yeah. People, too. I just got to admit it, confess the sins. Certainly. There's been so many people I thought I was in love with, and it was just puppy love. And now I don't even, not that I don't care about them, but I don't care about them in the same way. See? No. I've made the same mistakes. I'm not here on some kind of pedestal. I'm here literally sitting on the carpet of the floor. That's what I'm saying, bro. Oh, shoot. Who is he? Who is he? Who is he? Who is it that ye say that I am? God asks us. And he's our perfect example, so we can ask the same questions he did. That's why he came. Jesus Christ is his name. Don't think I'm making claims. I'm a good lyricist. Yeah, anyway. Puppy love, yeah, because that's the thing with people that change so often, me being one of them, sitting here doing as I do, right, preaching what I have practiced, being sinful. There's been people I've told that I love. Wow, that's rough. Yeah, it was puppy love. There you go. Right? That's the point of doing this. I'm just being as real as I am with it. Blunt, bold, raw, and what? The fourth thing we say there is real. Under In the Image Clothing Company. Because I'm reeling some people in, being a fisher of men. I'm just casting some things. Actually, you can't just be making life what you want it to be, what you want it to seem. It seems like it. I think you're sowing some seeds. You're just sowing some seams pulling some things back together, I think you can let them leave. Acceptance, and just let it drift out with the tide. Anyway, a lot of times we're just trying to hide in life, and I'm just trying to do all I can to be a disciple of Jesus Christ. I'm a lyricist. Yeah, I mean, I've had puppy love for a lot of things I don't even care about at all anymore. That's real. That's so real. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, That's why we discuss it. That's why I sit here and do what I do, dude. Talk about dog do. I don't like to say some words that other people say. Sometimes I'm cussing up a storm, though. And then I won't say words that are like, just maybe like not so good words to say. Yeah, I mean, I'm a human being, dude. I'm a unique breed. Just trying to be purely who I am. Breed some purebred dogs to further good bloodlines of the poodle. Wow. I feel like my voice is getting deeper throughout this. That's yep. Okay then. I'm just saying, bro, there's a lot of things that we do not need puppy love for some stuff that we don't want about 5 minutes later. Talk about a relative 5 minutes. That's where that phrase really sits well, A relative 5 minutes of puppy love. You love the puppies at the pet store till you take them home. Don't know what to do with them when they urinate on your carpet. That's what I'm saying, Oh, I love it. Oh my gosh, my heart is so full when God just speaks through me. Holy cow. I mean, that's what I mean. That's what I mean. Don't twist the spine, but I just twisted my spine. Am I speaking out of experience, or am I just talking about how we're sinful by nature? It's one and the same. What do you want me to say? Right? I don't care. Get out of here with your opinions and beliefs. Or come with me if you want things to just be. I mean, that's what I want. That's what I want. Just to let me be. Just let me be. Leave me alone. Please. Because I'm not lonely. I'm just sick of you. The people that I thought I loved that really was puppy love. And now it's like, man, I don't want to even be in this situation. I said some words that, I can't take back. You bought a puppy that you can't take back, Holy cow. President Russell M. Nelson, former president, prophet. Think celestial. Do it all. Do it. Do it all the time. Do it all you can is the point. Do it, man. Do you want to build a snowman, Elsa? Shout out to Disney. That movie is really cool. Let It Snow. Frozen is the movie title. I think that's so cool. That's kind of how I felt with it. Puppy love. I felt like it was just such a good, but in a good way. I don't know. Some of these things just seem so innocent in a very proper way. I do love Disney. I've talked about Disney so much on In the Image Clothing Company podcast. Really. I mean, a lot of different Disney movies. Yeah. Unpopular opinions. I don't have one at all. Let's talk about things, though, as they are, because there's a lot of beautiful messages, man. I have opinions where I do. I'm not trying to say that I'm, perfectly opinionless. It's just not the case. That would be an opinion of mine. It would. If I tried to claim that. But, just puppy love, man. Puppy love. Wow. Cool. Anyway. Yeah. Puppies can be great. But really, I mean, puppies are more work than adult dogs. And that's what's so... That's why, really, truly, it's the paradox, it's the paradoxical gospel of Jesus Christ. In all seriousness, and that reminded me of having long hair, tucking my hair behind my ears. That's been a while. I just kind of, rub my finger over my ear like that. Puppy love. It's ironic because puppies are more work than adult dogs. Babies are more work than adults, even teenagers. It's so funny, you know? Well, I mean, seriously, that's funny. We don't actually want a simple life. I've said this before. It's not my opinion. This is the truth. How many times do I need to say that when I'm discussing stuff? It doesn't matter what I say. Don't even listen to anything that I say. Listen to the truth within what I say. But what I am saying is this was what I'm saying before I, said what I did, because that's a good thing to say, though, right? Just don't believe me, please. I mean, it's not an opinion, though. Certain things that I say, we don't want a simple life. As human beings, no matter who thinks they want a simple life, people talk about like passive income and just like a blissful, simple life. No, it's the hard times that make the good times good. The good times are only good because the bad times are bad. There's opposition in all things, or there's nothing. That's the truth. So that's what I mean is, it's funny because we love puppies so much, but they're the most work out of any like age of dog. We love babies. People with baby fever, if you want to call it baby fever. People that are like baby hungry even. Wow. Money hungry. An episode title of In the Image Clothing Company podcast. No, but people that, well, not no, yes, but that's not what I'm saying right here. People that, really love babies or puppies. That's the most work. That's the phase of life where it's the hardest. You're changing diapers of your babies. You're trying to potty train your puppies. Your babies are teething. Your puppies are teething, chewing on everything. Your babies are crying. Your puppies are waking you up in the middle of the night. Crying, yeah, right? I mean, that's what I mean is we don't want a simple life. The more life experience your dogs have, the easier it is to take care of them. The older your kids get, the more independent they can become. But a lot of times, this idea of puppy love, we think we love the things that are the hardest. And then we claim we want a simple life. I'm not trying to like speak for anybody else, but just generally as human beings, it's a thing that we do, often. A lot of people do, at least, claim that we want a simple life. Well, simple is not quite the same thing. And not only that, it's not at all the same thing as easy. But a lot of people want, so they say, an easy life. You don't actually want an easy life. It's the trials and it's the hardships that make life enjoyable. Really, it is. It's the opposition. Yeah. It can be hard, man, but I mean, babies are hard. Puppies are hard. New relationships are hard because you're learning about this other person and how they work and operate and how they do things so differently than you. And that's what happens is they're doing things so differently than you. But you have all this puppy love in this new relationship, and it's really hard to be around this person because you're so surprised at every turn when they're doing something different than you would, and you just don't know them yet. You don't know anything until you know anything, right? I said that in this, and we've been saying that so much lately under In the Image Clothing Company podcast. And just, yeah, it is what it is. You can't be held accountable for what you don't know, but you don't know what you don't know. And maybe you don't even know that what you love so much about the relationship is how hard it is at the beginning. Relationships, in a lot of ways, get easier over time. When the puppy love dissipates and the real love has to be there or else it doesn't last. That's the point. If you don't really love someone, you can't really have a lasting relationship. If you have puppy love, there's your relative 5 minutes. Right? Meaning, maybe it's literally 5 minutes, or maybe it's like in relative time of an entire life, it's like a year, or whatever. See what I mean? It is what it is, brother and sister. And I've got things that I must be accomplishing until that day that I'm done. Family tree that I must bring out of that ground from the spring of. living water. Anyway, there's a rendition, freestyle I did about stuff that I did it about. A family and the living water, which is Jesus Christ. That's another name for God, is the living water. Yeah. Yeah. Brian Lake, he has a song titled Hallelujah. And he says, I don't know if I'm going to sing it or if I just say the lyrics. Maybe I sing it. But anyway, it's something like, and all that I have is a hallelujah, hallelujah. And I lift up my hands and praise you again and again. Right? Brandon Lake, his song Hallelujah. It's to God, right? Like, I don't even know what else to say, man. What else do we have? Hallelujah is essentially just like a thank you to God. I'm moving to St. George, Utah. Man, it snowed last night here, dude. Sis, bro, man, girl, ladies, gentlemen, welcome. In Utah County here, right? It snowed. There's still snow outside in parts that were like shady all day. Yeah. It's cold. It was like 33, 32 degrees I saw on the car that I was driving today when I was out there. I mean, I stood out in that field and filmed that video. The importance of tops. I felt like I just wanted to really emphasize that and say it so bold. Just because, I mean, what does that even mean? What am I doing here? Meaning, how am I allowed to just do this? And this is important. It's crazy. That's why it's so nuts. It's so impactful for everyone, forever. I'm crying. Yeah, not really, but just about, because that's the case. It's it. This is real. This is so real that I'm 2 hours, whatever amount of time into this, I'm just talking, saying important things, and who cares about me? But I'm able to just speak on some stuff that matters. And the answer to that is God. Who cares about me? Man, my mom does. Shout out to my mom. Who knows how long she's sticking around on this earth. See you later. Literally is what I mean. Yeah, I will. That's funny. Yeah, there you go. Holy cow. No, shoot. I love it. I'm just sitting here singing songs, and I'm just sitting here talking about breeding and, anatomy and the Church of God, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. I'm talking about designs of clothing. I'm talking about myself, which is something I basically have never done in my life. I never cared to. Nobody around me at a lot of my life would have even cared at all if I said anything about myself. They wouldn't have actually listened, and even if they pretended to listen, they wouldn't have cared, and then it wouldn't have done me any good to tell them, I mean, this is weird. That's what I'm saying, is God is so shocking. Holy cow. I don't even know what to do. I don't even know what to do with my arms. I'm like not even putting my arms down. I think part of that is like the praise, the truly to God. I mean, I mean it. I mean, it's nuts. I don't even want to set my arms down, I mean, we don't want to be resting our arms. That deactivates our body, and then other parts of our body have to compensate. But, normally I have my arms like this, like pulling in from my knees, when I'm sitting down on the ground like this, like the inside of my elbow joint and my knee area, for those of you in audio only of In the Image Clothing Company podcast, right? And then keeping the right hand on top. It's a video under the main side of In the Image Clothing Company, but we just talk about it, internally rotating the right arm placing it on top of the left one just opposes the right-handed patterning in this world that we live in. I can't even believe it. Did I mention I don't believe in anything? That's what I mean, is I can't even believe this. But I'm going to watch this video back after I cut it. Do you see what I mean? It's there. Don't gotta believe nothing, brother. It's real. It's the truth. It's happening. Anyway, cool stuff. Time periods, documentation. Kind of feel like I need to say see you later to my mom. I mean, that's one of those things, man, that I wouldn't have documented quite the same otherwise if I didn't have In the Image Clothing Company podcast. And if I wasn't talking about my mom, you know, the past few episodes here this past week. She's had heart surgery, you know, I mean, weird, you know? Cool, though, because that's what I mean is, personal revelation. Wow. Cool stuff, man. That's what I'm actually doing right now, and I'm looking over here like this. There's a photograph of my mom over here. And above it, there's me, and then to the right of me, there's my sister. This is fabulous as well. My mom. I idolized my mom, you know. I wasn't with her from 7 years old till 22. Not all that much, at least. You know, my parents divorced, and then she wasn't around her that often, you know. And then I got to move in here with her. I've been living with her for the past 3 years. I'm 26 now, you know, like I said. I mean, it's cool. It's cool. I was talking to this woman yesterday at church, you know. I said, you know, I kind of just live it up as long as I'm here with my grandparents and my mom. I don't mean like take advantage of it. I mean, I wasn't with my mom for like 15 years. Yeah, I mean, just about not at all. And that's the thing. If she really doesn't make it through the recovery of this surgery, and I like I've said, you know, it's just God and I, not any kind of anybody else's like information, you know, trying to say something about whatever, you know, meaning. Yeah, I have a feeling and a prompting from God. I don't know. I don't think she's. I think we've got just like a relative 5 minutes. There you go. Left with my mom on this earth as of right now. Me saying this, I really think so. You know. I'm not trying to be right about anything. I also am not trying to just say that for no reason. And I'm not trying to say that for like my reason. I want to make it clear. I'm saying it. That's why I said personal revelation a minute ago, and I didn't really put context around it. I mean, kind of. I was talking about my mom, but that's what I mean. Yeah. I really feel like, you know, man, I said this in the past like 4 episodes of In the Image Clothing Company podcast before now. From this one back is what I mean. Yeah, I think I wouldn't be saying it like this unless I've really, yeah, no, it's God, right? What I'm saying is, it's cool. I've been able to live with my mom for 3 years. Personally, I mean, like, we live in the area of this house where we're just one floor of this house is just her and I together. That's how it's been for 3 years. I haven't had that since I was 7 years old. Until I was 22, right? That span of somewhere about 15 years, give or take. I mean, I got to kind of be with her a few nights a week. Well, every other weekend I'd be with her, you know, for a long time is how it was. And then once I was a legal adult, I guess I could have spent as much time with her as whatever, but I spent the amount of time with her that I was supposed to spend with her, you know, and I just wasn't really around her. But I was learning things, she was doing things, we were just, yeah, on both ends. It just was what it was. I mean, it shouldn't have been anything different. It wasn't anything different. God is perfect. And I got to have these past 3 years living in the same, fairly tight quarters too, with my mom. That's cool. To me. I mean, yeah. I'm just kind of looking around at the room, like this is our living room that we've been in together for the past 3 years. Every day, basically. Meaning, we've lived together for this whole time, this 3 years. 3 years, man. Well, even that, the number 3, it's the Trinity. Talk about how there's only one God, and I'm like, oh, bold about it. Yeah, but God is the Godhead. Still, he's God. He's Almighty, right? The Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. It's one God. It's God. It's the Almighty. However he portrays himself is it's God. What I'm saying is, yeah, from somewhere around like 22 to 26 years old. Wow, maybe it's been a little over 3 years, but anyway, it is what it is. That's what I'm saying. It's just, shoot. Yeah, maybe it's been a little over 3 years. It was the 13th of Friday the 13th on May 2022. I moved here. It was rough escaping my situation. It was like I was. Anyway, that's a whole thing, Just no blame put anywhere it doesn't need to be. Well, you never need to blame, but no. I'm just like turning around. This is ridiculous. That's what I'm saying. I'm not trying to say anything against anyone. I'm just speaking it as it is. It's been a whole ride, dude. I didn't sign up for it. Probably signed up for it in the pre-existence. Do you see what I mean? It just is what it is. God is perfect. What I'm saying is, it kind of just seems like it's kind of like the time of the see you later to mom. Casually, lovingly, And it's just kind of like happening to be documented day after day here, my experience of what I'm just doing at this time under In the Image Clothing Company podcast. When I talked to her on the phone earlier today, I packed up some stuff here. Well, I got the suitcase out. It's partially packed, and I washed some clothing for her. It's just hanging out here drying before I put it into the suitcase if it fits. We'll put whatever we fit in there. We meaning me. But again, it's me and God. I'm not alone. I don't care. I don't even care. That's what I mean. I never felt alone, even when I was... that's so weird to say, because sure, you're alone, but like, not. The point is... I say we packed a suitcase earlier. It was God and I. The second comforter, the constant companion, the Holy Spirit of God dwelling within me because I've been baptized into the body of Jesus Christ. Packing up clothing for my mom, and God's with me in it. What I'm saying is the quote plan, unquote, who knows, but is to take the stuff to my mom tomorrow. And apparently she's being moved from the hospital she's been in since the surgery last Monday, a week ago today. It might be past midnight now since, starting filming this. It's been hours, right? It's been over 2 hours at least, I know. But anyway, yeah, Monday to Monday. It's been a week, technically, as of the 1st of December 2025. When I started filming this, anyway. Yeah, since she had her heart surgery. And they're planning, at least, to move her to a care center facility tomorrow. And I'm going to take some stuff up to her so she can have it with her, just some stuff from here, from her home, like I'm saying, clothing and personal things, mostly just clothing, really. Yeah, mostly, so anyway, who knows, that's what I mean, is who knows. I don't know. I haven't talked to her since earlier today. Who knows? I do not know how long, if I've even still got with her. And it is what it is. And I'm entirely content with it. And I want this to be like a totally, like, how open can I get about this kind of thing? Like, I'm not hiding any kind of, like, because this is a testimony to God. That's why I'm doing this. Well, That's what I mean, is I'm not choosing to even say any of this in here. That's what I mean by it's just kind of happened to happen. The past few days, each of the episodes of In the Image Clothing Company podcast, I just keep talking about my mom in this and giving context on it. I mean, because that's what I mean by how surrendered can I get to. I'm not trying to like show that I'm feeling a certain way. I mean, I don't even care to talk about it unless I need to. I mean, it's a testimony of God. My mom's the one that took us to church growing up. You know, my dad didn't even really care. I don't mean to say anything bad about anybody on any end of whatever, but just saying it out of context of how it happened as a child. Yeah, my dad didn't really care to take us to church or to go to church himself. But my mom, at least for a lot of the time, you know, she did a lot to really try to get us to church. You know, it's like I've talked about, my grandma is really probably the main reason, human being wise, that I got rebaptized in February this year, 2025. You see what I mean? Like, it's just been crazy. You know, people just do some good things for you in your life, and the only good things that there are always, only, and ever come from God. That's why we're saying these things right now. See what I mean? That's just what it is. It's like I'm not even doing anything. I'm just hearing words are coming out of me, being used, quote, as a vessel, unquote, right? I mean, it just is what it is. God uses us as a mouthpiece for what he needs to be spoken, what he needs to have spoken. Well, that's the same. Yeah, I mean, that was correct either way. Both, yeah, I mean, yes. I mean, it's crazy. I couldn't be more content. I don't know how to even like make that make sense to people who might think that I'm just like, it doesn't even matter. That's why I don't even want to even, I don't even care. Who cares is what I mean. I don't care who cares. I don't care who hears this. This isn't me trying to say this for anybody else, but this is God. This is God saying this for somebody else. That's what I'm saying, is there's a reason for this. Someone's going to hear this that needs to hear it. I mean, I know it too, and I think I know who, and I just... Yeah, it's God. The only way is the point, is God. I mean, it's Jesus Christ is his name. The universe has a name. Go out there and serve whatever you want, but you don't even know what it is that you're serving if you're not serving Jesus Christ. Well, you might know something else that you're trying to serve, but it's not going to do anything for you. Sorry. Not my choice. But it's the truth. Because I couldn't do it. I'd be torn to pieces if I wanted something to be something that I couldn't make it be. But I know that I'm not in charge. And the only way that I really know that and how that even makes sense or works is because I know who Jesus Christ says that he is. I've got context on God. That's how I know anything. Well, we don't really know anything in life. You think you know something and you don't. I mean, how simple can we get with explaining it? Like, it's so ridiculous. Oh, I love you, Father in heaven. That's crazy. I mean, it's ridiculous. It's just unreal. Anyway, I don't know. Comfortably uncomfortable. I mean, how strong are you? Not very. Relying on borrowed strength. You can deal with whatever, ever. If you're letting God do it, if you're letting God fight your battles for you, you can deal with just about nothing. And claim you can if you're trying to do it alone. It's not real. Being able to actually bounce back from things. But you're basically invincible with God on your side. I mean, I couldn't make it more real. I'm not preaching a religion. I don't care. I don't believe in anything. I don't. I mean, how real can I make it? I feel like look at me like flop onto the ground. I want it to be so surrendered for other people's sake of knowing that I am honest. I don't know. I mean, how many people out there claim they have a belief that works for them? I don't believe in anything, and God works. Never stops working. He works for me. Well, be careful with how you hear that. But I said how I said it. What I meant was what I said. Let me give some context. God just do that's so cool. Well, it's the truth. I could have stopped there, but some context will be good to say. God works for our sake. I don't mean he works. I'm not going to try to cover anything. I mean it. God works for my benefit out of his decision to do so. And that's, I mean, why? Look at me, God. I'm a sinner. Cussing and screaming at everybody. My own mom. So often. Oh my gosh. Call my mom all sorts of names and terrible things. Satan working through me, and I'm not strong enough to overcome it. Now God's working for my benefit. See what I mean? And I'm entirely content and hands up and like, teary-eyed out of love. I mean, it is what it is. That's what I mean. This is the Almighty God. This is the creator of all things. This is put your beliefs in the garbage disposal and throw it off a cliff. Send a lightning rod down there and give it an extra jolt. I mean, like, what is wrong? What is wrong? What is wrong with us? We can't get over ourselves and just know God. We can't get out of our own way. We think we can figure it out rather than just knowing we'll never do it. What is wrong with us? What is wrong with Evan Strong? I wrote a song one time called Roller Coaster. Shoot. You know, the last line in that song was, or the very last part of it at least, was, I need help from above. It's something like a beacon of hope, and I hope that I'm speaking even a sliver of faith, because the faith that we're needing is even smaller than seeing a smile. Because I smile all the time, but you don't see what's hiding behind, and I'm in my mind crying or something. Oh yeah, crying. But I'm crying out for help. But the help that I'm needing is something like that. Crying out for help. But I need help from above. Something like that. Anyway, the point is that I pointed up to above me. In a time when I wasn't going to church. In a time when I wasn't praying to God. Jesus Christ. As he says that he is. But I was trying to figure out how I could figure out stuff in life. Yeah, and I wrote the song Roller Coaster. Roller coaster of emotions. Should I scroll or just feel hopeless? Anyway, I mean, it went all crazy with it. I mean, see, that's the thing is I'm a lyricist. I truly am a rapper in all the senses of what it literally means to do rhythm and poetry. Truly, I'm a rapper. Literally, actually. I'm not trying to make some claim, and I'm not trying to, like, be silly about it. I just know people think it's silly. Like, parkour. Anyway, people, anyway, I used to do parkour. Truly. I do flips and a lot of, things like that outside. Literal, actual parkour, the definition. But then it's like a silly thing. People, like, jump off a ant pile. They say parkour, I was out there doing flips off like 8-foot ledges. I'd usually do it on lower ledges, but at times, yeah, doing it off bigger things. I just mean like I was doing real, literal, actual parkour as it is. And, people thought I was joking. I'm saying it because like I am literally a rapper. And nowadays people will do like the cat in the hat. He swung a bat and he came back from his high school class, and even that is more on tempo than most people will be mocking it with, right? But I'm a literal, actual rapper. I'm not trying to I'm not trying to cover myself is what I'm not trying to do. I'm being very clear, though. I'm actually, literally a rapper. Like, there's a lot of context on In the Image Clothing Company podcast alone, In the Image Clothing Company music, though, that's a lot of what we do there. That's what I mean. Metronome Madness. Getting back to this. Who I was as a kid, though, for real, bro. I mean, I'm not joking with this at all. That's what I mean. I go from talking about my mom probably dying to just nowhere else. I mean, it's not like I'm on one end and then the other. And that's the whole thing about the whole roller coaster of emotions. I was in a hellhole, not serving God and not serving God at all. I was not serving God. Let me say it 3 times for the sake of the Trinity. There's only one God. There's three sides to him. How many sides do you want? There's a dynamic to a human being. I'm sitting here yelling on the floor. I'm not even upset. That's why it's so crazy. You can only be like this. You can only be this real if you are who God designed you to be, and you can only get to that if you serve God as he says that he is. Jesus Christ is his name. It's God. I mean, it's just the truth. Please don't believe anything. But this is why we're really here. I mean, this is still the episode of In the Image Clothing Company podcast titled Puppy Love. You can have puppy love for all these new beliefs you have. And then your beliefs expire. I mean, that's really what happens. It's like your beliefs expire. It's like, yeah, this will work for you until it doesn't. Here's your relative 5 minutes. That just became the phrase. That became the most. Oh, God, I love you. And all that I have is a hallelujah, hallelujah. Brandon Lake, that's his song, right? Just to be clear again with the credit where I give it, I tried to. I can also sing pretty darn well, man. I've never had a singing lesson in my life. How does that happen? Where do your gifts come from? What's going on here? What do you want to have puppy love for? My God is the most mature being to ever be. He's not a puppy. Can we be real about that? I mean, that's like such a humbling statement. It's funny, too. My grandparents live upstairs right now, in this house. This is their house, but they're upstairs right now. And I'm down here just yelling. They might think I'm upset or mad. That's what I mean. It's just life. Like, it's ridiculous. It's crazy. I mean, how can you even be who you are? And who are you? And how does that happen? What is life? I mean, even the puppies. I mean, sometimes you just don't really know who you are until time passes. That's what I mean. Sometimes we just have to uncover who we are. That's what